through Lafayette, Rayne, Crowley, Jeff Davis Parish, Jennings, into Calcasieu, where the Jaguars have a date with the McNeese Cowboys. That kickoff is 7 o'clock on Saturday night. And then on Sunday, the Tigers are in Las Vegas, and they will be playing the Southern Cal Trojans. You know, Southern Cal is now a member of the Big Ten. So that's going to be at 6:30 on Sunday night. And before I get off of that subject, they had the two best bands in America. The Human Jukebox Band from Southern, often imitated but never duplicated. And the Golden Band from Tigerland. Welcome, everybody. At this time, here is the Mayor President Pro Tem of East Baton Rouge Parish, Councilman Brandon Noel. Councilman?
Thank you, Dennis. Welcome to the East Baton Rouge Parish Metropolitan Council meeting this Wednesday, August 28, 2024. We're going to have an invocation led by Yolanda Batiste, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Caroline Taylor.
Gracious Father, we come to you, Lord God, first of all, to tell you thank you, Lord. We thank you for another day that you have made, and we shall rejoice and be glad therein. Dear God, we come asking that you would allow your Holy Spirit to come into this room tonight, Lord God. We ask, Lord God, that you would give us a vision for where you see Baton Rouge going so that we can follow you, Heavenly Father. We thank you right now for one accord, dear God, and we thank you for everyone that is in attendance. Lord, I ask that you would bless our leaders in a mighty way, Heavenly Father, like only you can. And God, as everyone shall leave this building, but never ever from your presence, I pray that everyone arrives back home safely in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Is it time for me? Do we say it now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, call the meeting to order. Ashley, do we have a quorum?
We have a quorum.
All right, first, adoption and approval of minutes. Approval and adoption of the minutes of the Metropolitan Council meeting of August 14, 2024, special Metropolitan Council meeting of August 14, 2024, the Metropolitan Council zoning meeting of August 21st, 2024, and the Greater Baton Rouge Airport Commission meeting of August 13, 2024 by Council Administrative Treasurer. We have a public hearing. Anybody wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Do we have a motion? Motion approved by Councilman Dunn Jr., second by Councilwoman Carolyn Coleman. Any opposed? Motion carries. Ashley, if you can read introductions.
Section 2.12, Introductions. Number 2, authorizing the appropriation of not to exceed $183,415,058 of bond proceeds and other funds from the sewer system to refund the 2028 sewer revenue bonds by Director of Environmental Services and the Finance Director. Number 3, a supplemental resolution amending and supplementing the amended and restated general bond resolution, providing for the execution and delivery of the loan agreement dated September 1st, 2024 by and between the East Baton Rouge Sewage Commission and the Louisiana Local Government Environmental Facilities and Community Development Authority by Bond Council. Number 4, amending the 2024 annual operating budget for the Cheneyville Fire Protection District so as to appropriate $50,000 from the collection of 2024 property taxes for the purpose of providing funding for payroll benefits, medical supplies, and necessary repairs and maintenance associated with the station and equipment by Cheneyville Fire Protection District. Number 7, condemnation introductions. Number 5, the estate of Marilyn Alexander, 1645 Swan Avenue, Council District 2, Banks. Number 6, Edwin Avila, 1047 Cardinal Street, Council District 2, Banks. Number 7, PDB Realty and Investments, 9732 Avenue B, Council District 2, Banks. Number 8, Nathaniel Evans Jr., 5068 Enterprise Street, Council District 5, Hearst. Number 9, Taylor Tyrone Williams, 2806 Eaton Street, Council District 7, Darazan. Number 10, Gary Lee Trahan, 3457 Fairwoods Drive, Council District 7, Darazan. Number 11, Jack Bernard Noble Jr. and Michelle Noble Vincent, 6635 Winburn Avenue, Council District 7, Darazan. Number 12, Caroline McGowan and Ed Wayne McGowan, 2030 Chestnut Street, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 13, Ethel May Williams and the estate of Danny Winfrey, 1513 Myrtle Walk, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 14, Daryl Bates, 155 Taylor Street, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 15, Eddie Lathers and Vertus Lathers, 2050 Kentucky Street, Council District 10, Coleman. Adjudicated property introductions. Number 16, Lot 62, Square 11, Subdivision South Baton Rouge, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 17, Lot 66, Square 11, Subdivision South Baton Rouge, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 18, Lot 26, Square 11, Subdivision South Baton Rouge, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 19, Lot 50, Square 11, Subdivision South Baton Rouge, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 20, Lot 33, Square 10, Subdivision South Baton Rouge, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 21, Lot 45, Square 10, Subdivision South Baton Rouge, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 22, Lot 43, Square 10, Subdivision South Baton Rouge, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 23, Lot 31, Square 29, Subdivision Greenville Extension, Council District 7, Darazan. Number 24, Lot 32, Square 29, Subdivision Greenville Extension, Council District 7, Darazan. Number 25, Lot 15, Square 5, Subdivision Valley Park Annex, Council District 12, Rocca. Number 26, Lot 4, Square 8, Subdivision Valley Park, Council District 12, Rocca. Number 27, Lot 10A, Square 273, Subdivision Swart, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 28, Lot 18, Subdivision Brookstown, Council District 7, Darazan. Number 29, Lot 15, Square 32, Subdivision South Baton Rouge, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 30, Lot 32, Square 11, Subdivision South Baton Rouge, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 31, Lot 55, Square 12, Subdivision South Baton Rouge, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 32, Lot 37, Square 16, Subdivision Eden Park, Council District 7, Darazan. Number 33, Lot 21, Subdivision Pettit Place, Council District 2, Banks. Number 34, Lot 169, Subdivision Visit Coat, Council District 4, Moak. All items that require reading have been read, and a motion to introduce all items is in order.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Coleman, second by Councilwoman Amorosa. Any opposition? All items are introduced. We're going to go to our separate sheet for condemnations. Recommendations are as follows: to proceed with items 70, 71, 73, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, and 95. To delete items 72, 74, and 75, and request for 90 days on item 88. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on any of the condemnations? Seeing none, we're going to go to council.
30 days on 72, please.
72?
Yes, sir.
30 on 77, please. 30 on
What was that?
79. 30 on 78, so that's 30 on 76, 77, 78, and 79.
Confirming 90 on 88.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Councilman Dunn, it was number 72.
Yes, sir.
The recommendation was to delete. You want to give it 30 days?
Who recommended to delete?
DPW?
Okay, that's fine.
Leave it deleted?
Yeah, you can delete.
Okay. Anyone else? Item. Okay. 92. And 70. Okay, so we have proceed with item 70, 71, 73, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84. I'm sorry, not 80. We're going to proceed with item 70, 71, 73, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95. 30 days. Sorry, not 92. 30 days on item 76, 78, 77, 79, 60 days on item 92, 90 days on 88. We're going to delete item 72, 74, 75, and item 80. We have a motion for that? Motion by Councilwoman Amorosa, second by Councilwoman Coleman. Any opposition? Motion carries. Okay. We're going to jump to acceptance of low bids. Item 163. Baton Rouge Metropolitan Airport Phase 1 Taxiway L Extension and Decommissioning Runway 4R 22L and Taxiway E. Hendrick Construction Incorporated, low bid, low bid $12,796,640.32. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Motion approved by Councilman Hudson, second by Councilman Dunn Jr. Any opposition? Motion carries. Item 164, Baton Rouge Metropolitan Airport Terminal HVAC upgrade, second bid, Bob Bernard and Associates Mechanical LLC, $2,738,000. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Motion by Councilman Dunn Jr., second by Councilman Hudson. Any opposition? Motion carries. All right, we're going to go back now to item number 96. There is a request to delete by the department authorizing Metropolitan Council to declare Lot 2, Block 208, South Baton Rouge Subdivision, Municipal Address 3880, Pocasset Street, Baton Rouge, Louisiana 70805 as surplus property and not needed for public purpose, and authorizing the sale of the same pursuant to Louisiana Revised Statute 334712 unto Wilfred Jackson by the parish attorney. Again, there's a request to delete. Anybody wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Do we have a motion to delete? Motion by Councilman Hudson, second by Councilwoman Amorosa. Any opposed? Item's been deleted. 97, there's been a request to defer for 30 days, directing the parish attorney's office to take all steps necessary to terminate the cooperative endeavor agreement between the city of Baton Rouge and the parish of East Baton Rouge and the Scotlandville High School Hornets Alumni Association regarding the right of occupancy granted to the association on the old fire station number 16 by Councilwoman Shauna Banks. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? All right, we have Miss Janice Miles. And just a reminder, this is going to be, the request is to be deferred for 30 days. You're welcome to speak now, but this will likely be heard again in 30 days. That's
30 days,
too
the
weeks.
25th.
Good evening, council members. We're here today from a deferral which occurred about 30 days ago. We are still standing in opposition to the termination of the CEA that exists between Metro Council and Scotlandville High School. On the last Alumni Association, that is, the last time we were here, the council graciously gave us an extension and some directives and directions that we should go, one of which was to start some open communication with our council person, as well as pursue some possible proposed benchmarks to strengthen the CEA that we already have. And those two things we've done. We've reached out to Councilwoman Banks a number of times, made ourselves available And I think we had the very first meeting a few days ago last week, which really didn't result in anything positive or cause us to move forward. At that meeting with the parish attorney, Aaron, we proposed to them some benchmarks that we thought were reasonable and that we thought that was workable for everybody. And we do admit that perhaps those benchmarks did need to be needed to keep everybody on task. We have not gotten any response from those benchmarks that we proposed. So we're still in a limbo. We're still searching for what is the real reason that we want to terminate the CEA. It has been said by Councilwoman Banks that nothing has been going on in the past 10 years, and that's just not true. A lot has gone on. We've had some interruptions, as we all have. We had the 2016 flood. We also had COVID that kind of set us back. But since this is going to be heard again, we'll be in a place to show action happening over the past 10 years. And we've not just been sitting twiddling our thumbs because we have 99 years. We've actually been working towards building and restoring the fire station back to its union. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, just a reminder, this item is going to be deferred, and we'll have another public hearing at that time, 30 days from now. We have Roderick Wells.
Council members, Rod Wells, class of 1970. Is it possible for me to ask that you all vote today? Simply because it's on the agenda for deferment, can we not vote for it today? I can ask? Okay.
You got 3 minutes. You can ask anything you want to talk about this agenda item.
Well, let me make my 3 minutes short. I'd like to see you all vote for it. We've done some things. We've made our greatest effort on this fire station, and we don't want to let it go. Mm-hmm. So the sooner we're out from under any pressures or issues would be best for us. We didn't just start taking care of that firehouse. We got involved with some local, the First Presbyterian Church, the Arts Council. We've done things at the Senior Living Center on Rosenwald Road. And as our attorney said, we had a good group, but we lost a few people simply because of 2016 flood. And some of them came back and some didn't. Our group got smaller. COVID, where we all learned to use Zoom. I didn't know what Zoom was before COVID came around. So I'm just saying, we love what we're doing, and we appreciate you all giving us the opportunity. But we came here ready to have you all make a decision, and I would ask that you all vote on it today, if you could. Thank you.
Glenda Chapel.
A chorus of Chappelle.
I apologize.
Glenda Chappelle, class of 1974. I would ask that you vote not to defer this today. We have been working hard. We have met, well, we think we have met the conditions that you asked us to meet on the last meeting, and are confused by the request for deferral. That this is hanging over our heads, and that firehouse means too much to us and too much to the community to let it keep hanging and not know what direction we're going. Being left drifting like this, we don't know if we should continue our work or if we should wait. So I would ask that you vote not to defer and listen to us on this matter today and make a decision one way or the other.
Randall Henry.
Hello, good evening. I'm Randall Henry, and I am from the Scotlandville High School class of 1976. And the building that's in question that we're talking about it's in a strategic location in Scotlandville. It's right there between Scenic Highway and Scotland Avenue. And I conducted some art workshops there. And we had so many participants in that workshop, young kids, and it was just a wonderful workshop. We had a theater program there, a music program. On one occasion, we had an open house where just lots of people from the community came there, and it's just it's a great location, and we want to continue doing projects there. We hope that you can help us to assist us in any way that you can, and helping us to continue to keep that building in hand to work in as artists and as creative people in order to uplift the community. I mean, that's what it's all about, uplifting not only the community, but Scotlandville and also the entire city of Baton Rouge. So we've been doing what we can do in order to keep it in an active type of location to work in.
Pat LaDuff.
Hello, Council. Pat LaDuff representing class of 1978, President, and also CADAV and Scotlandville CDC. Good afternoon. I would like to say again on behalf of those organizations and the class of 1978 that the fire station is still very important to us, and everybody has been on the same page, and unless there's a 911 death emergency, I don't understand why our representative would not have been here tonight. So, but I want to thank Councilwoman Banks for at least helping us to bring this to light. We have had classes that have donated, we've had organizations that donated, and also did lots of volunteer work on the building since our last meeting. So what we ask is that you not delay this anymore, and we ask that you work with us and not work against us. Former John Bell, Governor John Bell Edwards deemed Scotlandville a culture district, and this art building is right in alignment with that. So the project has been delayed, but one thing for sure and two for certain, it has not been abandoned. We have continued to work towards the goal of making sure that it's a place where we have programs for our residents, young and old. So as a council here today, we ask that you work with us to restore that building, but for that said purpose, and not to be guilty of discouraging community involvement. Because one thing we have now is community involvement. And so we have people working to improve their community, and just as the council, I would think that you would accept that and be glad to have that. So we appreciate you, and please move forward today. Thank you.
Ms. Penny Mae Landry.
Hello. I'm in opposition to the termination of this contract. This has been deferred before. I would like the council to vote today to allow this CEA to continue. This group of people is a wonderful group of people. I've spoken with them. They're doing a great job. They're doing the best they can with what they have. They're working together. They're providing a service, a facility. The one thing I do want to say is that I have a grave concern that the council person who brought forth this item has been on a very negative tirade on social media against this group, and I think it is unprofessional, and I hope that all Metro Council members will have a professional protocol when they are on social media, and this council person has been very negative to this group. So I ask you to go ahead and vote to let the CEA, the contract proceed. Thank you.
Edwia Richardson.
Good evening. I would like to defer my time to one of the other speakers because we thought we were going to be speaking. So I would like to give my 3 minutes up to, do I have to say who? No? Okay, well, I'm donating my 3 minutes.
You can't give your 3 minutes. You can have your minutes.
Okay, well, okay. Please vote.
Alvin Douglas.
Good evening, everyone. To sum up what the last few speakers have said, we came here today respectfully seeking a decision. And so, as Ms. Richardson just said, please vote in support of us keeping the building of old fire station under the current CEA. That is our wishes. Thank you very much.
Ken Nalfor.
Good evening, Council. My name is Kendrick Walford. I am the chair of the SHAC Steering Committee. I wanted to kind of talk to you guys today about some of the facts that comes towards the building and what we plan on doing. Currently, the SHAC will be ultimately a art center and ultimately an innovation hub and resource for the community. This would encompass arts programs, technology programs, workforce development. So in that, to date, there has been plenty of progress, including getting plans, getting environmental reports, all of the preliminaries that you need in order to renovate and make this exactly how we want to see fit. This also includes a lot of planning, a lot of outreach, a lot of resources given since the last time we was here as well, including the donation of floors as well as donations towards windows, glass, as well as the work on a strategic plan. So within that strategic plan, when people ask, hey, how do you plan to do these things? How do you plan to raise this money? How do you plan to sustain this building? That strategic plan lays out that plan. We think this is very important because, yes, it takes one thing to get it where we want it, but it takes another thing to actually continue to sustain it as well. So that is something that we have also focused on, working with SDC Consulting on that as well. We have also included improvements on multiple things as far as securing the building, even more as far as securing all non-structural improvements, as well as other donations and contribution in-kind donation towards what we can do. Also, we've put effort towards funding. Within that funding, we have started our capital campaign. Outside of that, we have been in talks with grant writers, as well as fulfilling that strategic plan that does outlay us to reach that goal that we have set out. So I implore the council to take a tour of the building. If possible, I implore anyone here within the Baton Rouge community, anywhere, to come out and take a tour of that building. And also, I implore us to kind of take the look and grasp of, yes, you heard 76, you heard 74, all these. I'm a graduate of Scotlandville, class of 2014. These are the things that we want to see within our community as young people. So I would love for the city to be in accordance with us and work in tandem with us to see this not only for me, but the children that come around us. As a high school teacher, the kids that I teach today. So I implore that we vote on this today so we can move on, get this where we need to get. And thank you guys for having us. Thank you.
Yolanda Day.
Good evening. My name is Yolanda Day. I'm a Scotlandville graduate of 1980. I'm asking that you all make a decision today because since the last meeting, we've spent money on sheetrock for the ceiling. We did the flooring. We've put in 2 air conditioning units. We've painted. We've what else we did? Oh, put in new lightings. We put in replaced all our old lights and installed new LED lighting. And right now we have an estimate from Baker Glass to restore all the glass on the building. That is on hold until we know your decision. So that's why we're asking, because everything is kind of on a standstill, waiting on a decision. And deferring it for 30 days, I don't see what the issue is. We've complied with everything you all have asked, and we've tried to meet with Ms. Banks and to resolve this, and we don't understand why we're deferring it for another 30 days. So I ask that you all would support us and vote on this today and let us remain with the current contract with any addendums that you all may have us to do. Thank you.
Sonia Daniels.
Good afternoon, Metro Council. My name is Dr. Sonia Daniels. I'm the founder and president at S. Daniels Consulting, which is a locally owned and operated strategy consulting firm working specifically with mission-driven organizations, especially those especially those that serve under-resourced and historically excluded communities. I've had the privilege and honor to collaborate with Scotlandville High Alumni Association this summer to help them engage in organizational development through strategic planning to create a robust plan for the Scotlandville community and the community center. As a person who grew up in rural Louisiana, Franklin, Louisiana to be specific, I was raised by a single mother who worked full-time, so having access to a community center meant having access to protective factors such as community, social, and emotional competence, support, and other positive experiences to mitigate what could have been a childhood full of adverse childhood experiences. Going to my local community center sometimes meant simply having access to hot meals, especially after school and during the summer. Scotlandville High Alumni Association and their community center is economic development at its finest. Their robust plan for the community center will address every single social determinant of health and provide more resources and opportunities for Scotlandville community, North Baton Rouge, and the capital region as a whole. Community centers also play a crucial role in crime and violence intervention by providing opportunities for youth development, support services, and skills building. To keep deferring this matter is a drain on both monetary and time assets, which both are valuable to this organization. So I'll leave you with this. If you were to dissolve this agreement, then what? Do you maintain the status quo and potentially leave the building to become blighted? Or do you lean into the opportunity cost, allowing Scotlandville High Alumni Association to move forward with the plans to develop the center? Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Councilman Hurst.
Good afternoon, everyone, especially to Scotlandville alumni. A lot of these guys and ladies are my constituents. Originally, obviously, from the Scotlandville community, but in the best district in Baton Rouge now, District 5. But I've had several conversations. I mean, I talked to Councilwoman Banks about 3 or 4 times last week. I've talked to them about 3 or 4 times, and I only had a couple of questions. I said, my colleagues talked to you guys about creating benchmarks and sticking to those benchmarks which were financial commitments to abate the blight that the neighbor said was there and Councilwoman Banks said was there. In the past several weeks since we've met, they raised $10,000. They've gotten a commitment for the windows, doors. They have a plan. They have blight remediation done. So blight is only exterior facade. So we can no longer say, we know it's structurally sound. So that can't be done. So that's out the window. You've reached out to the parish attorney. You put benchmarks in place. Whether they've been accepted or not, you did your part. I remember when Brandon, before he got appointed, I believe it was his commentary that said, hey, reach out to the parish attorney, work the new agreement. I got the emails. I didn't read them all. It was too many, to be honest with you. But I got the baseline of it, which was that we're trying to do our best to make Scotlandville better. Now, I'm going to talk to my colleagues about the Sadie Roberts Joseph African American Museum. Guess what? We did the same thing. We gave them an old, I believe it was a DPW building right here on, is it Mayflower? I don't know what street that is. Mayflower. All right, guess what? It was not in the best condition. We had air-conditioned vents all on the floor. They opened the museum up. We had this great celebration. And guess what? It has to be redone again. And guess who's footing that bill? The city parish. So we did that for every fire station, every museum. And I would just tell y'all, when you go to North Baton Rouge, we talk about it being a forgotten land. If it was a land of milk and honey, you wouldn't have the blight you have, you wouldn't have the crime you have, you wouldn't have the low education you have, you wouldn't have the low household median incomes. The entire community is coming back, not just the firehouse. So it is very hard to have a firehouse. I apologize, got a little distracted, but it is very hard to restore the community itself with all the blight, all the hopelessness that's there. And I believe there's one building that's become that beacon of hope for Scotlandville alumni. Y'all found an opportunity to get together, to come together for a common goal, and to take one piece of property in the Scotlandville community and make it better. And while I was born in District 5 and I currently live in District 5, I was raised in Scotlandville. So my heart is there as well. I told Councilwoman Banks that if you guys had done what you said you were going to do, what you did, there was no way I could vote against it. And so I'm going to stand tall today. My word was the same with y'all. I said, if you didn't do it, what was I going to do? I was going to support it to die. But if you did everything you said you would do, I would support it to live. So I want y'all to know that you've done everything the council's asked you to do. You've done everything that you personally committed to do. And I don't see why we should have a deferral as well. So I appreciate you all showing up, and I thank you for your time.
Councilman Gode.
Thank you. I have a process question, Mrs. Beck, if you don't mind. I think some folks showed up tonight, and this isn't familiar to everyone as it is to those of us who do it 2 or 3 weeks out of the month. So, Ms. Beck, if there's a motion to defer this item for 30 days, and that motion does not obtain 7 votes, what would then happen?
If the motion to defer for 30 days fails, the floor would be open for somebody to make another motion if they so chose. If there were no other motions made, the item would basically fail. The item would basically be deleted.
And if the item were to also not get the needed 7 votes, if someone were to make a motion to delete the item, for instance, and that doesn't get the 7 votes, the item goes away, would Councilmember Banks have the option then to bring the same item back in a given period of time?
She would. She would have the opportunity to bring it back one more time within the next year.
Within the next year. So
yes.
Essentially next meeting she could reintroduce the exact same item.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Hudson.
Is someone from the parish attorney's office here that can speak on this item? Billy, there was some talk about, from the class of 2014, didn't get the guy's name, but some talk of a strategic plan, some benchmarks being set, structural improvements funding in a capital campaign. Have y'all enshrined any benchmarks into an agreement so
We had
far?
met, I forget which day we met, but it was last week, and they had presented some things. Councilwoman Banks made an answer to that. I think y'all may have been copied on that email. She did not agree with the things that they had put forward. She requested some information that they felt was irrelevant and not necessary. So there's a disagreement over where we're going with it right now.
Gotcha. But the discussions are still ongoing, and those new benchmarks just haven't been ironed out yet. Was that safe to say?
We're open to anything. I haven't had any direction from either side on what they want to do because no one's in agreement yet.
Okay. Given that this is not in my district, I do want to give Councilwoman Banks the opportunity to address it. And look, I just know how I would feel if there was a property in my district that was city parish owned that I felt like wasn't living up to, to an agreement. I would want the council to address it as well. So I'll make the motion to defer for 30 days.
Do we have a second? We have a second by Councilman Dunn Jr. Councilman Dunn Jr.
I'm a second the motion to defer. As I mentioned last meeting, I'm conflicted on this item. I want to support Councilwoman Banks in her desire to do what she want to do in her district. As I've talked to her and I've talked to many of you, I do not support removing the property from you guys' ownership or operationship. As I mentioned at the last meeting, if we take it from you, then what's the plan? It's left vacant, blighted, and at least you have a plan, and you're moving forward in progress with that plan. None of us thought, I don't think you thought it would take 10 years to get where you are. There are some justifications in that, but hopefully this puts fire underneath you to move a little faster. But if the parish attorney can come back up about the agreement and the benchmarks. Another comment I made at the last meeting, and I don't think this should necessarily be individually for any of us council members, whether it's Councilwoman Banks or us, but I'd like to see a standard agreement, based on industry best practices on something like this in place. So, because we got a lot of these out here, specifically these fire stations, so that these individuals or organizations can know what the expectations are going in. So if we can work on drafting that, so we're not, one-off in these things and taking them isolated, that there'll be a uniform approach to this.
Sure.
I also mentioned not only, benchmarks, but, we have developers and engineers and all of that stuff at our discretion that we can partner them with when they enter into these type of agreements. Oftentimes, I think people don't understand what a responsibility this is. And, I think it would be in our best interest to help them along the way and partner them and connect them with resources that can collapse the time frame so it won't be 10 years and they don't have the progress they're looking for. So I'm going to ask that we do that. We can form a committee or what have you. We don't have to form a committee, but let's just get something in place that's standard, a guideline, a template that they can go by. And there are some others out there. Council members have just not went to this extent to address them, but there are some others that had not been addressed and had not been put back in commerce. So let's just avoid from this happening again and put something in place. Again, thank you. I'm going to support Councilwoman Banks' desire to defer this, but I do not support removing the responsibility of this property from you guys. I am surprised and disappointed that she's not here tonight. I didn't know she would not be here. I want to take my hat off to the alumni and the Scotlandville community for showing up and advocating for your school, for your association, for your community. You even recruited your new Scotlandville alum in Penny in her black and gold today. So, actively involved in my alumni, Capital High School alumni, as the president for many years. I've worked with Howard and Dale at McKinley, and, we've become somewhat of a family, advocating for our historically black high schools for resources and things of that nature. So, I support what you guys are doing. If we can, make this process any smoother for you, we're trying to do that. It disappoints me and kind of breaks my heart that, this is playing out in this way and in a public way. I wish we wasn't here, but we are here. So, again, I'm going to second Councilman Hudson's motion to defer, but I just want to make the commitment publicly, as I've told Councilwoman Banks, I do not support this approach and what she's doing. I do support you guys to keep the property. So if this is deferred and it come back, I will be in support of you keeping the property and not discontinuing the agreement. Thank you.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Thank you, sir, Mayor Pro Tem. You know, as we talk about this Connecting East Baton Rouge Neighborhood Convention and the Blight to Right to Wonder, whatever, and then we talk about here not allowing this group to do something with this fire station. I don't know. I don't get it. And then to know the history. So you got to know where you've been to know where you're going, and to know the history of this fire station, because this was one of the first fire stations where you talking about Fire Chief Woods. And so I didn't hear anybody come up here and say anything of that nature. And then, yes, that's the purpose of the council person, to lead or to give their constituents information on how to do and what to do. And see, I can't say that I'm for giving this back to, I guess, the city, and then saying that I'm against the deferral. So I'm either in it or out of it. And so as I sit here, and I cannot support the fact that we're going to take something from this group of Scotlandville Hornets, because I know it was Hornets then, because way back, I worked there. So I cannot support the fact of taking this from this group. I don't know of this ever being done, and then not allowing them to move forward to have this piece of property that's a part of history just demolished or given away or whatever, or becoming blight. So I am on record here. You know, I can stand on all 10. I am on record here saying that I do not support this CEA with the city and with Scotlandville not being granted to, or they be able to hold on to their CEA and move forward in working on this piece of property.
All right, we have a motion by Councilman Hudson, seconded by Councilman Dunn Jr., to defer for 30 days. Do we have any opposition? Oh, Councilman Dunn Jr.
I have a question. Come on up.
Again, as counsel for the Scotlandville Alumni Association, I take issue with the council for the city parish just ignoring all of our strides and indicate that there have been no agreements. We put forward, and if there's not an agreement, it is on the city side, because we give them the benchmarks and they make absolutely no response. And he stands up here and he says that we are not in agreement, that nobody is in agreement, and that's not the case, because it's discouraging when we're putting forth efforts and the person that you're taking advice from ignores our efforts. And I think that's unfair. I realize we're not in a court of law, but it seems like we need to get there soon if we're going to ignore the efforts of the constituents.
I'm going to give him a chance to respond, but I think what he's referring to is, you know, in an agreement, it takes two parties to agree.
Well,
I
guess what I was trying to say is they presented some issues and Councilwoman Banks didn't agree. That's all I said.
Yes.
So I don't know.
I thought so. I think he's just saying that there's been no agreement, and that's why I made the point that I don't think the responsibility of the owner should be on one council person. We need a city-parish approach to these agreements, a standard agreement in place that both parties, the city and the organization, can adhere to. I don't think we should be deferring to one of us. This is something we should be doing collectively to put a template in place that we all can abide by. And maybe we do it through ordinance, maybe we do it through resolution. But right now, this is uncharted territory. There's nothing in place to guide this situation. So I don't think he was pointing the finger at you or putting the blame on you. He was just saying the two parties have not come to any agreement. All right, you can go ahead.
Councilman Hurst.
Yeah, look, when I spoke earlier, it was before Billy came up, and I didn't realize that the terms weren't agreed upon. But what I will tell you is, I mean, just speaking to my colleagues up here, I won't speak for them, but I don't think that the votes are there to kill it. Okay, but I do think you need it over the next 30 days. Just do your due diligence to make sure that the terms can go in place, and if not, we'll do what we have to do if we have to do them. I think for respect for our colleague of what her expectations and terms are, that's the one thing I didn't ask. That's the one thing I don't think any of my colleagues asked of what those benchmarks should be. And if she doesn't come with specific benchmarks, then that leaves us due diligence to move forward in a direction we feel like it should go. But out of respect for our colleague with that one statement, I believe that we need to allow her an opportunity to speak. And I don't think the fire station is going anywhere. Let me be very clear. And I hate that y'all may have to come up here one more time and have heartache. But I do love that you are consistently coming, fighting for your community, fighting for your alumni. And again, whether it's today or tomorrow, you still have my support. Thank you.
We have a motion and a second to defer for 30 days. Do we have any opposition? We have one opposed. Anyone else? Motion carries. Defer for 30 days. Number 98, a resolution approving the issuance, sale, and delivery of the not-to-exceed $10 million revenue anticipation note series 2024 of the St. George Fire Protection District Number 2 of the Parish of East Baton Rouge, State of Louisiana, and other matters relating thereto by St. George Fire Protection District. Is anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Motion approved by Councilman Hudson, second by Councilwoman Adams. Any opposition? Motion carries. Item 99, authorizing the placement of the sculpture known as Spirit Rising at the corner of Government Street and North Eugene, and authorizing the Mayor President on behalf of the City of Baton Rouge, Parish of East Baton Rouge, to accept the donation of said sculpture from Mid-City Merchants by Councilwoman Coleman. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Motion by Councilwoman Coleman, second by Councilwoman Rocca. Any opposition? Motion carries. Item 100, authorizing Mayor President and the Director of Purchasing on behalf of Baton Rouge Fire Department to declare a ladder truck surplus and to allow donation of said ladder truck to the City of Gonzales Fire Department by the Fire Chief. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. We have a motion by Councilwoman Rocca, second by Councilman Dunn Jr. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 101, authorizing Mayor President to execute an intergovernmental agreement on behalf of the Baton Rouge Fire Department with St. George Fire Protection District Number 2, confirming that emergency response within the boundaries of District Number 2 is provided by District Number 2, consistent with Louisiana Revised Statute 33-221 by Baton Rouge Fire Department. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Motion by Councilwoman Rocca, second by Councilwoman Adams. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Item 102, authorize Mayor President to enter into enhanced Medicaid payment support agreement for the Department of Emergency Medical Services with the Louisiana Ambulance Alliance by Emergency Medical Services Director. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Motion by Councilman Goday, second by Councilwoman Rocca. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 103, a resolution ratifying the adoption of resolution number 57752 by the Metropolitan Council of the Parish of East Baton Rouge and City of Baton Rouge relating to the proposed various amendments to the plan of government of the Parish of East Baton Rouge and City of Baton Rouge by bond council. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Ms. Penny Mae Landry.
I'm in opposition to this item, and I would like the Metro Council to consider deferring this item until further changes are made to it, and to defer this until there is adequate citizen input. I don't recall there being any town halls or any opportunities for citizens to have input into the changes of their plan of government. So I would like this item to be deferred until after the election, so that the new council members and possibly mayor can have some input into this, as well as the citizens. I am especially in opposition to Section 408, which makes the mayor president be able to appoint a city parish manager, and then she also has the authority, he or she has the authority to remove that person. The other thing that I'm in opposition to is Section 409, which is a new position of chief of staff. We already have a bloated government. We need smaller government. Okay, the taxpayers are struggling here. And to add more salaried positions to an already very large local government is, not taking into consideration the things that the taxpayers are going through. And the other one that I'm in opposition to, which adds a new position of executive counsel, aka an attorney, to provide the mayor president's office with their own legal advice and guidance. I do not understand the reason for there needing to be a second legal department to just serve the mayor. So look into your hearts before you vote on this and see if there should be some amendments, and also to allow the citizens of East Baton Rouge some input into the changes to our plan of government. Thank you for your consideration.
Anyone else wishing to speak on this item?
Council members, you should have received one email comment in opposition to item 103.
Councilman Dunn Jr.
Just a point of information, and anybody else can chime in on this. This item, as I understand it, is just basically a procedural thing, a formality. We basically voted on this to send this to the voters to decide on it. It's going to be on the ballot in November. All those items and many more you can read in the supporting documents. So we're not approving this to be into policy or into law. This is basically a formality, and if anybody from the parish attorney's office or from bond counsel here want to speak to that and why this is needed, this is already voted on by this body and already on the ballot in November. Thank you.
Councilwoman Rocca. Oh, sorry. Ms. Hesberg, please.
Hi. Good afternoon. Tommy Hesberg, bond counsel. So Councilman Dunn Jr. is correct. This matter was before the council on March 27th. At that time, it was voted upon to present the items, the proposed changes to the plan of government to the electorate. It had to be adopted at that time because the Secretary of State proposition deadline was June 19th. And so the plan of government, currently Section 1109 requires that any proposed amendments to the plan of government be presented at an election after voted on by the council, not less than 90 nor more, or probably not less than 60 nor more than 90 days after the date of adoption. And so in order to comply with both the plan of government and the Secretary of State proposition deadline, this council had to adopt a resolution calling the election in March so that we could submit for State Bond Commission approval in May to meet the Secretary of State deadline in June. We are now here to ratify the calling of that election to comply with Section 1109 in order to be able to validly, the election will be validly called, but in order for the amendments, after they were voted upon pursuant to Section 1109, would have to have this resolution adopted.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Rocca.
So just to give a little bit of insight, thank you, Mr. Hesberg. He explained this very, very well with how this works. But let's all remember and not have short-term memory with regard to how long we've put efforts into changing the plan of government. In fact, whenever I was appointed to the former council, there were several council members that had put efforts towards modernizing the plan of government. And then we were lucky enough to have Councilman Goday take those efforts, reform those things, and have this council collaborate and move forward to modernize the plan of government. So this wasn't birthed out of an idea that happened a year ago. It's been 5 years in running, quite some time, maybe even close to 8. And also with regard to the plan of government, this is for the people. The people decide. The people go and vote. The people get to choose whether or not they want to modernize their plan of government and move forward. And when the people choose, whenever they're deciding and making these decisions, I would ask them to potentially go and Google some news articles that have happened over the past 4 years where we've had issues with regards to whether the parish attorney was our counsel or whether or not he was the mayor's counsel, whether or not he was advising us or whether he was advising the mayor. And sometimes that legal advice conflicts. Sometimes ethical issues arise and those things are called into question. We took all of those things into consideration. We discussed all of those things, and we had the foresight and history to know exactly what issues we've run into on this council and what deficiencies we've had within the departments that we have served over the past 4 years. So we have not taken these things lightly. We don't just come before you on a whim and say, this is what's going to happen, and it's going to happen, and this is how we're going to do it. We put hours, weeks, months, years into service, into making sure that what we put before you on these agenda items have been properly studied and have been properly vetted before we send them to the people. So thank you very much for anybody that's listening. Thank you for all the citizens that will be reviewing this. I also want to warn, because I've seen this online and some of the forums, please go and look at the current plan of government. Some folks have gone nuts about eminent domain language that has been in the plan of government for decades. And that's given to us from the state government, federal government, those laws that have been there forever. And we just adopted that language into the new form because that's there. We had to keep that. So caution yourself on what you're looking at and what the actual changes are and what that looks like. So please just read again, reread, and then have conversations with us. We're here to help. There are people that have done this long before us that are here to help and that can have discussions. But again, it's premature for us to start moving forward on this until we get through these processes that we're doing here tonight. Thank you so much.
Councilwoman Amoroso.
Thank you. So just to piggyback on what she was saying, this has been going on. I got on the council 6 years ago, and they were having committee meetings, putting these things together. So it goes back even further than 6 years. So this is not anything new. Also, when Councilman Goday first got on the council as well, he made himself available, went around the parish, offered himself for district meetings, which he came to my district, and we had a district meeting explaining some of these changes. And he has made himself available again, if I am correct. So keep your eyes out. I know that I'm going to make arrangements for him to come into my district to explain some of the changes that they're looking at. Being the teacher that I am, I like people to have the knowledge and the information before we go out and make any kind of decision. So keep your eyes out and see if your council person is going to have a meeting in their district. So thank you.
All right, we have a motion from Councilman Gode. We have a second to approve the item. Second by Councilwoman Rocca. Any opposition? Motion carries. We're going to jump to item 105, an ordinance establishing Board of Commissioners to serve as the governing authority of the Harveston Economic Development District, appointing the initial members of the Board of Commissioners of the Harveston Economic Development District, and providing for other matters in connection therewith by Councilman Rowdy Gode and Councilwoman Carolyn Coleman. Is anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Ms. Landry.
Penny Mae Landry. This is an interesting one. I know that the board has already, or the district has already been formed. What I would like to see in the ordinance, in this Board of Commissioners being appointed, is that the meetings of the Harveston Economic Development District take place here in the chambers, and that also the minutes from this commission, that there's a transcribed version of the minutes that's available that includes everything that is said. This week I went to two meetings. One, the Cortana Corridor EDD and the Bill Baton Rouge Commission. Both of those meetings took place at the law office, Fishman Haygood. I think that all commission meetings, all EDD meetings need to be held here, and they need to be recorded, and those recordings are available as transcripts for people who are blind or hard of hearing. So I would like to see this amended to include that the meetings of the Harveston Economic Development Board of Commissioners take place in these chambers, and that there are transcripts of all minutes made available to the citizens. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak on this item?
Council members, you should have received one email comment in opposition to item 105.
Councilman Dunn Jr.
I don't have a opposition to all the commission meetings being held here, Ms. Landry. There are a lot of them. I think what you're going to run into with that is availability of the chamber. And now maybe you can do them somewhere in City Hall and not in the chamber, because it's a lot of boards and commissions. But I also do support your idea of all boards and commission meetings being recorded. So I know we have some, but I think it would be a good idea if all of them was video recorded. ABC board, airport board, any other board or commission. So that's definitely something we can look into.
We have a motion to approve by Councilman Hudson, second by Councilwoman Coleman. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Is there anybody that wants to respond to her? No, we're good? Okay, thank you. I can tell you this, ABC is recorded.
Going back to item 104 now, an ordinance of the City of Baton Rouge, Parish of East Baton Rouge, creating the River Center Economic Development District within the City of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, on the property described on Exhibit A, defining the boundaries of the property from which area new sales and use taxes and new hotel occupancy taxes may be levied by the district and used to fund all or a portion of the cost of an economic development project as described herein, all in accordance with and as authorized by Chapter 27 of Title 33, Louisiana Revised Statutes of 1950 as amended, designating the governing authority of the district, requiring the baseline sales and use tax and hotel occupancy tax collection rate in the district to be certified, requiring the number of registered voters in the district to be certified, and providing for other matters in connection with the foregoing by Councilwoman Carolyn Coleman, Councilwoman Jen Rocca, Councilman Cleve Dunn Jr., Councilman Aaron Moak, and Councilman Dwight Hudson. Is anybody here wishing to speak on this item? Ms. Penny Mae Landry.
I'm in opposition to this item, and I know you received a couple of comments in opposition. One of the changes to the plan of government I'd like to see is that all comments in favor of or in opposition to agenda items are actually read in to the meeting minutes. This is an excerpt from a letter that was sent to y'all last year about another EDD, and I'm going to read it. It was from someone I know. I believe the East Baton, and I concur with what this person said, I believe the East Baton Rouge Parish government needs to revise and recurrent ordinances related to creation of EDDs and TIF districts, including the reasons they are created and who actually profits from their creation. Too many agencies now have the legal right to create EDDs. The idea that the EDA or RDA can create districts without having the approval of the city parish government. One economic district uses about 50% of its revenues for employee salaries and benefits. Too many economic development and other districts are being created that divert local and tax state funds away from the uses that taxpayers approve the uses for these taxes. I believe some of these economic districts and TIFs are set to make profits for some well-connected individuals and groups and are not in the best interest of the local taxpayers. I do agree with that, at looking at the individuals whose names repeatedly show up for these EDDs and these TIFs. We do not need to be in the hotel business until we figure out traffic solutions, until we figure out crime solutions. Taxpayers have paid for the revitalization of downtown. I'm 67 years old and I can think of several. However, downtown doesn't really get revitalized because of the issues leading to downtown. Streets, if you've driven down Florida Boulevard or North Boulevard, you have to get a new pair of tires regularly, okay? We have to deal with crime downtown. People are scared to go downtown. Yes, you do have a select group of people who go downtown, but most people my age are not going downtown after dark, okay? We already have hotels. The other issue is, where are going to people going to park who come to this new hotel? I tried to park last week. I did the little QR code with the little fly, whatever bird. It said, geolocation not found. I spent 20 minutes attempting to figure out how to park down there. It's a huge issue. Now, I know all of y'all have
Ms.
a
Landry,
little
that's
parking
your time.
pass. I am in opposition to this. There are many people who are not here tonight who are in opposition to it, and I ask that you defer this until after the election. Thank you.
Les Nicholson.
Hello, my name is Doc Larison and live 673 North 7th Street, Baton Rouge, where it floods. I'm in opposition to this. I'm in opposition to any tax that the citizens don't get a right to vote on it. But also I represent the Society for the Preservation of Lagniappe in Louisiana, which you may know us as the Spanish Town Mardi Gras. We derive a big part of our budget from the River Center with our ball. This tax will take 2%. This 2% will come from donations that we would give to the Baton Rouge Food Bank, Baton Rouge Children's Advocacy Center. You know, we have about 20 different charities, and you're going to be taking 2% at least from each one of them. So I'm in opposition to this proposal. Thank you very much.
Jill Kidder.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Jill Kidder with Visit Baton Rouge, and I'm also the vice chair of the Mayor's Raising Cane's River Center Oversight Committee, along with our chair, Carolyn Coleman. The committee has met a couple of times already and is beginning its work to provide recommendations back to you for an owner's rep and hopefully soon developers who may be interested in working with our city to realize our dream for revitalizing our River Center complex. Our research over the last 2 years has unequivocally said we have to form public-private partnerships, and I think all of you know that we've come to you with that message over and over again in order to realize our plans. The enabling ordinance you are considering this evening to create an economic development district is a necessary tool in our toolkit when seeking potential development partners for you and our city. Any developer will want to know that the city is really serious about the project and is willing to work with them to make the project happen. So the creation of the district will speak volumes to those potential developers. We truly respect those who have concerns, certainly can understand them and hope we can work through those. But this is just an enabling ordinance, as I understand it, outlining a small district that right now I don't believe includes any residents. I may be wrong. I'm not an attorney. But no taxes are being initiated at this point. And there will be time for more specific conversations and a vote on those specifics as the council has a better idea of what the actual scope and scale of this project is going to be. And as I also understand it, this body is also the governing body of the Economic Development District. So you will be making those decisions in the light. So thank you very much.
Ms. Ayal.
Hello, Whitney Hoffman-Sayal, Executive Director of the Downtown Development District. I also serve on the River Center Oversight Committee. Just wanted to note first that our commission did not take a position on supporting or opposing this, but we do know that River Center upgrades and the transformation will require funding. And economic development districts are one tool in the toolbox to be able to help make those financing deals work. It is also a valuable attractor in attracting a developer to respond to the RFP that the committee is working on putting together. In speaking with some of the stakeholders within the boundaries of the districts, although I believe also there are no residents, but there are some stakeholders and venues, they seem generally comfortable with the formation of the district. And we do hope to see the River Center become a more viable asset to the downtown community. Thank you.
Ms. Hawthorne?
Thank you, Pro Tem and council members. April Hawthorne with the Baton Rouge North Economic Development District. I am also on this oversight committee as a community member and a resident and representing BRENED. And I wanted to come before you in support of this. I did email this to you as well. And I wanted you to also know that our Board of Commissioners has not officially supported this as well, but it is brought before their attention. And I just wanted you to know that this initiative closely aligns with the mayor's initiatives as well, and it's particularly in driving economic revitalization and job creation across Baton Rouge. And the creation of this district is a critical step toward enhancing our city's landscape, and the proposed developments will serve as a catalyst for broader economic growth and several benefits for the North Baton Rouge community, such as economic spillover effects, increased revenue for community development projects, job creation and workforce development, and regional integration. The establishment of this district will not only revitalize the downtown, but it's going to just continue to grow as we move forward with our city. So if you have any questions, we're also welcome, but I ask you to support this on the agenda. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Councilwoman Adams.
I want to address the discussion that downtown is a scary place where people don't want to come, and it hasn't been revitalized. My first big girl job was working for state government downtown in the building on 3rd Street that is now the Watermark. It was a beautiful building whose time had passed, and I got stuck in the elevator in that building heading up to the office more times than I want to remember, and I still have a little PTSD when I get in the elevator at the Watermark. The renovation of the Watermark is amazing, and as someone who worked in that building when it was in a declining or just barely holding on status, to be able to go back into that building and see it returned to the beauty that it had when it was originally built is amazing. It is a gorgeous hotel. It represents our city beautifully. When I worked down here in the mid-90s, I remember 3 restaurants: a Chinese restaurant, Desiree's, which if you were a lobbyist, that's where you went. I wasn't a lobbyist, but that's where the fancy people went. And then there was a pizza place, and maybe the Subway was there. I really can't remember. But 3 restaurants. And now when I'm downtown, and I am downtown all times of the morning, afternoon, and evening. I am here at council working with my colleagues until 9, 9:30, 10, 10:30 at night. And I am not afraid. The downtown Baton Rouge area has been revitalized, and this is the next step. And I tell you, when I talk to my children and their friends, our young people are enthused and encouraged that we are continuing to look forward and make plans to move Baton Rouge forward, to have this be a town where people visit for conferences and conventions. The other thing I've learned being downtown all the time is, y'all, there are tour groups. Like when you go to New Orleans and you have someone with the headset talking to people as they tour Baton Rouge, I run into tour guides touring people in Baton Rouge. This is exciting. I love my city. I'm excited about the opportunity to share our city with people in the area and also with people from across the United States and hopefully across the country. So I'm not scared to be in downtown Baton Rouge. I am enthused with the progress we have made, and I can't wait to see us make additional progress in this beautiful city.
Councilman Moak.
Yeah, I'm going to concur everything that Councilwoman Adams said about the security and everything else. I probably, other than the councilwoman of this district, I may be downtown more than a lot of people in the evenings and stuff like that. I walk with my head high. I feel comfortable. I'm okay walking around. I know things happen. I know that, we could use more security. I think Councilwoman Coleman has actually already looked into that in a police district downtown. That's been worked on. But let's go to the revitalization part and where this EDD comes in. You talk about crime and streets and cleaning up downtown and everything else. If you don't revitalize, keep up with the times and everything else, then you constantly go into a decline to where more of that security, degradation of the area and all keeps coming in to be a factor. I tell you, Wayne's here with the River Center, and when we first came on this council, one of the first things that was put before us was, I think, $4 to $5 million for renovation stuff. And I beat the drums, and I was like, no, there's no way we need to spend this money into the River Center. And because I always knew it could be more. It needed to be more. It needed to be different. We needed to catch up with the times. And I'm really proud of the fact that here we are, almost 4 years into, most people here on our first term, that we've got a committee formed, that we are looking for partnerships. We are putting together an idea and a plan for all of downtown Baton Rouge in the 4 years that we've been here. And I have to say, and kudos to Wayne and the River Center crew. I went over there today to look at the River Center itself. And the money that they've put in that I was fighting against, it looks amazing in there now. Just the River Center part. The new seats are in at the bottom. If you don't get a chance, go by there and take a look at it. The scoreboard's in, the lighting, everything else. So do I now think that those millions of dollars were worth it as far as upgrading that? Yes, because that is being looked at now as incorporating that in with the updated plan of the hotel, extra ballroom, and so on and so forth, which takes me to the next thing. With the River Center and the larger conventions that we can bring, we're bringing people downtown longer. We're keeping them here over the weekend. We're keeping them here for the week. We're keeping them here possibly for the month. How long is the bowling thing supposed to last? 6 months. Imagine if we could expand that and bring more in, bring more technology stuff in. By creating this EDD, this gives developers more opportunity and the city parish more opportunity to look into ways, to look into partnering to get these jobs done quicker and faster. Public-private partnerships work, and this is one of the tools in the arsenal. Plus, as that happens, outside of that EDD district, downtown development, 3rd Street, everything else, Councilwoman Adams brought up the Watermark, the Rivermark, the old Advocate Building in the Hilton, the hotel down the street from there, there's a Hamptons Inn. The newer restaurants and things that have opened. Happy's has moved across the way. Several other places have opened right in this area. Before we've even started the River Center itself, put a hammer to it itself, other than the upgrades, we're already seeing people looking at downtown Baton Rouge and East Baton Rouge Parish. So I am more than ready to take this chance on the EDD and what we could accomplish in bringing people in. And I hope the citizens come on board. Go look at what you're getting. Come to the meetings. I'm not on the committee, but I've been to every meeting that they've had and made time for it so that I can keep up with it, not only as a council member, but as a citizen that wants to have input at those committee meetings. And they offer public input each single time. So come be a part of it. Thank you.
Councilwoman Rocca.
So I'd like to give this information. I'm pretty sure everybody in the chambers understands this, but for the people at home, let's talk about what an economic development district is, because often you'll see online and in different places and conversations that people don't fully understand what that means and what the impact is to our area and what it would look like downtown. So first, with regard to the economic development district, whenever we're talking about the 2% tax, that's an additional tax that would only apply to the businesses in the area within the boundaries of the EDD. So when we think about 2% tax, let's think about that. We're going to go rent a nice new hotel room at a hotel down at our brand new hotel that's going to be made. It's $150 a night. That's $3. That's $3 that we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to host a convention, and I'm going to rent the River Center or the new convention hall out for $50,000. That's $1,000. That's the price that we're paying as a vendor, as someone that's staying in a hotel. And if I don't like that $3 charge, then what I do is I go to a hotel that doesn't have that 2% sales tax. And there are plenty in the city to go to. But what that 2% sales tax will do, and I say will because it doesn't go into place until everything's solidified and we have that vendor, we have that hotel, we have that convention center. The tax does not happen overnight just because we approve this item tonight. But what it does do is it goes back into the area. It goes back into that economic development district, and it benefits our River Center. It benefits our new hotel. It benefits the USS Kidd. It benefits the Louisiana Art and Science Museum. Okay? It's an impact that's far broader than just attracting a nice new hotel. And it stays there. And it's an insurance plan to make sure that those things stay nice. It's an insurance plan to make sure that we attract those vendors that come in and want to build a better Baton Rouge. So that's what it means whenever we're talking about an EDD. When we're talking about whether or not it goes to voters, it would go to voters if there were residents within that district. And then it would be up to the voters to decide whether or not that goes forward and whether or not they want that tax. But currently, as it stands, the area does not have residents in it. So then it becomes our obligation as a council to make that decision as to whether or not we want an additional 2% sales tax on a hotel that has not come to fruition yet, in an area that needs more attention and needs additional funds to continue to be renovated, updated, and attract people from all over the state and all over from other states. Downtown once was an eyesore. If you look at downtown 15 years ago and compare it to what downtown looks like today, it's a beautiful place to walk in the middle of the day, to go have lunch, to stroll at night. If you come downtown during the Christmas season, go look at the beautiful lights that are there. And I can assure you, and this is not a popular opinion, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you, if you're not trying to buy heroin or a prostitute, you're pretty safe downtown. Okay? So that's just my opinion. Thank you so much.
Councilman Moak?
I just wanted, one last thing I wanted to address. It was brought up about other things being done in the parish and everything else. I don't think that, especially for my district, I fight every day to do projects in my district, to do projects in East Baton Rouge Parish, to help out my fellow council member do projects and everything. I don't think by the city parish walking and chewing bubble gum at the same time affects what we can do in other areas or takes away from the other things that we know that we have to do for this parish. This is just something that we do as elected officials, public officials, and anyone else that can take care of multiple items at one time and focus on the needs of the whole of the parish. Thank you.
I'll just add, when talking about EDDs, I've been a part of plenty of them. Oftentimes, it's used as an incentive to bring investment and economic development into an area, and you hear it phrased so often as, well, it's better to have a percentage of something rather than 100% of nothing. So if it's utilized to bring a project, then it's always, I think, favored. And it's a way to keep localized dollars even more localized. And oftentimes when you're talking about a penny or two on top, it's a self-imposed tax. And they're saying, hey, we want to charge more here and keep those dollars here to help reinvest. And so that's a positive thing when you're talking about trying to bring dollars in. And when you're talking about with a hotel, oftentimes you're talking about a way to increase dollars from people outside of the area. So it's almost like a tax on people not from here. And most people, when they're looking to come, whether it's a convention or anything else, and they're going to stay, anybody who goes anywhere, travels anywhere and goes and stays at a hotel, you fully recognize that the rate that you see somewhere is vastly different than when you get your bill. There's umpteen fees. So I don't think it dissuades people from coming, because I think people kind of expect it now. And so oftentimes we're talking about something that allows people from outside of our parish to come and enjoy this area, and in doing so, they're going to keep dollars there more localized and help enhance the place that they're at, so that next time they come, it's even better. So I think it can be very positive. Councilwoman Coleman, I believe we have a motion to approve. We have a second by Councilwoman Rocca. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. No, sir. Public hearing's closed. Item 106, amending ordinance 8931, which established an engineer and survey selection board. So to amend section 5 thereof in order to increase the fee for selection under the jurisdiction of said board from $150,000 to $300,000, and to amend section 6 thereof in order to increase the fee for selection under the jurisdiction of said board from $150,000 to $300,000 by transportation and drainage. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Motion approved by Councilman Hurst, seconded by Councilman Dunn Jr. Any opposed? Motion carries. Councilman Hudson opposed. Anyone else? Motion carries. Item 107, amending ordinance 8932, which established a design planning selection board so as to amend section 5 thereof in order to increase the fee for selection under the jurisdiction of said board from $150,000 to $300,000, to amend section 6 thereof in order to increase the fee selection under the jurisdiction of said board from $150,000 to $300,000 by building and grounds. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Motion by Councilman Hurst, second by Councilman Dunn Jr. Any opposed? Opposed by Councilman Hudson. Anyone else? Motion carries. Item 108, authorizing settlement of the claim of Ronis Gonzalez for damages resulting from an auto accident caused by a public works employee in the amount of $41,000 by the parish attorney. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Anyone? Do we have a motion? Motion to approve by Councilman Hudson, second by Councilwoman Coleman. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 109. No, that was 108. Item 109, authorizing settlement in the matter entitled Michael Petrie and Teresa Wages versus City of Baton Rouge et al. In the amount of $50,000 plus court costs in the amount of $344.20 for a total amount of $50,344.20 by the parish attorney. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Motion approved by Councilman Hurst. Second by Councilwoman Coleman. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 110, authorizing settlement of the claim of Tresemme Anderson for damages resulting from an auto accident caused by a Baton Rouge police officer in the amount of $12,000 by the parish attorney. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? We're losing a quorum? Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. We're good. Motion by Councilwoman Darazan, second by Councilwoman Coleman. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 111, authorizing Mayor President to amend that certain contract for professional legal services with James Baller and Sean Stokes of Keller and Hegman LLP to expand scope of representation to include additional franchise agreement and telecommunications issue of law, increasing and appropriating from the general fund balance unassigned $50,000 for said purpose for a total compensation not to exceed $100,000 by the parish attorney. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Do we have a motion? Do we have a motion? Motion by Councilman Hurst. Second by Councilwoman Darazan. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 112, pursuant to ordinance 16612, the Baton Rouge City Court judges will receive the equivalent salary of East Baton Rouge Parish District Judge. Therefore, each city court judge will require an additional one-time payment amount of $10,006.26. Additionally, district court judges receive $1,500 from the Judges Supplemental Compensation Fund Board. City court judges received a one-time supplemental payment of $808.45. The city court judges will need to receive an additional $691.55. In summary, each city court judge will receive a total one-time payment of $10,697.81 by clerk of court judicial administrator. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Motion by Councilman Hurst. Second by Councilwoman Rocca. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 113, authorizing the mayor president to accept the grant award for fiscal year 2025 highway safety grant in amount up to $98,500 on behalf of Baton Rouge City Court from Louisiana Highway Safety Commission for the operation of the Baton Rouge City Court's DWI Sobriety Court by Clerk of Council Judicial Administrator. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Do we have a motion? Motion by Councilman Gode, second by Councilwoman Coleman. Rocca, any opposed? Motion carries. Item 114, authorizing Mayor President to accept funding from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration on behalf of the Division of Human Development Services for the Ryan White HIV/AIDS program in the amount of $3,248,777 by Human Services Director. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Motion by Councilman Gode, second by Councilwoman Darazan. Any opposed? I apologize. Any opposition? Motion carries. Item 115, authorizing Mayor President to accept funding from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration on behalf of the Division of Human Development and Services for the Ryan White HIV/AIDS program, which includes Ryan White ending the HIV epidemic funding in the amount of $1,285,200 by Human Services Director. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Motion by Councilman Gode. We have a second? Second by Councilman Hudson. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 116, authorizing Mayor President on behalf of the Division of Human Development and Services Head Start and Ryan White programs to amend the contract with Clay Young Enterprises in the amount of $60,000, not to exceed $170,000 by Human Services Director. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Motion by Councilman Dunn Jr., second by Councilman Hurst. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 117, authorizing Mayor President on behalf of the Division of Human Development and Services Head Start program to amend the contract with the Management Institute in the amount of $40,000, not to exceed $121,000, to provide additional consultation services as needed for the submission of the Head Start grant applications by Human Services Director. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. We have a motion by Councilwoman Coleman. We have a second? Second by Councilwoman Darazan. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 118, authorizing Mayor President to accept an amendment on behalf of the Division of Human Development and Services, Office of Social Services with the Louisiana Workforce Commission for a community services block grant in the amount of $1,424,732 by Human Services Director. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. We have a motion. Motion by Councilman Hudson, second by Councilwoman Coleman. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 119, authorizing the Mayor President on behalf of the City of Baton Rouge and Parish of East Baton Rouge to execute an acceptance of active donation and any and all documents in furtherance of the acceptance from Florida 3 LLC of the turn lane right-of-way located at North Ardenwood Drive at the Rouse's Grocery on Florida Boulevard by Parish Attorney. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Motion by Councilman Dunn Jr., second by Councilwoman Adams. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 120, authorizing Mayor President to execute a supplemental agreement number 4 to the contract with the Stantec, formerly Bradley Brewster and Associates, for additional design services in connection with their contract for the renovations to the Scotlandville Branch Library in an amount not to exceed $11,000 by Building and Grounds Director. Anyone wishing to speak on this item?
Council members, you should have received one email comment in opposition to item 120.
Go to council. Do we have a motion? Motion by Councilman Hudson, second by Councilwoman Amorosa. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 121, authorizing Mayor President to enter into a professional service agreement with Vinformatics in the amount of $180,000 to fund data analytics support services for the department, specifically focused on Safe, Hopeful, Healthy initiative by the Mayor's office. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. We have a motion by Councilman Dunn Jr., second by Councilwoman Coleman. I do have a question. If someone can come up to speak on this, I was just curious, is this funded, or how is this funded? Is it funded through grant program?
Yes, so it's funded through ARPA dollars, and so that's how we're funding it. It's not general funds.
Wonderful. That's what I needed. Thank you. Anyone opposed? Yep. Councilman Hudson.
I'm sorry, if you could come back and just explain to us what data they're analyzing and
Yes, so Safe, Hopeful, Healthy has been in existence for about 4 years, and so Vinformatics has been our data partner since inception. So they look at crime data. They also look at our multiple partnerships and how the work that they do affects crime data. Affects crime in our city. They also are helping us as we look at sustainability of Safe, Hopeful, Healthy and the work that we're doing specific to community violence intervention. And so it's pretty massive, the data that they do. In the past, we have shared with you all annual reports, which have been developed in partnership with Vinformatics. After the Summer of Hope, we'll also have some reporting that they have collected relative to all of the work that we have done. So it's very robust. They also have a data dashboard that they are creating presently.
Okay. All right, we have a motion. Second, any opposition? Motion carries. Item 122, authorization of the Mayor President and our Chairman of the Airport Commission to execute work authorization number 9 to the contract with the Airport Management Group, LLC, for program management services at the Baton Rouge Metropolitan Airport in an amount not to exceed $3,497,206.02 by the Aviation Director. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. We have a motion by Councilman Dunn Jr., second by Councilman Hurst. Any opposition? Motion carries. Item 123, authorizing the finance director to refund an erroneous use tax remittance to Centrio Energy South LLC in the amount of $143,081.02 for accruing use tax on non-taxable repairs to immovable property by the interim finance director. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Do we have a motion? Motion to approve by Councilman Hudson, second by Councilman Goday. Any opposition? Motion carries. Item 124, authorizing Mayor President to execute the full signals maintenance agreement for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025 between the Parish of East Baton Rouge and the State of Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development. Funding for the signal maintenance shall be in accordance with the terms and conditions of the agreement. 177 traffic signals, $2,440 per signal by Transportation and Drainage. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Yes, sir, Mr. Price.
Good afternoon. My name is Gary Price. My wife and I are tax-paying landowners in the northeastern part of this parish. I am just wondering, how did they manage to come up with $431,880 when you're dealing with the state and the parish and the funding from license plates, road tax, fuel, and all the other sources of funding that's going to this facility? How do they justify $2,400 and some few dollars per signal when they should be an ongoing maintenance? How is that justified? And how much money are they working with other than this? It's just a question, because I've been sitting here and I am totally amazed at how much free money is given away, and I'll use a biblical term, and from my perspective, casting pearls to the swine. But it's just a question. How did they make it, and where's the revenue coming from? Because I come to town and I travel around these signal places and I watch what's happening. Just so happens I know a few of these people that work there. You got the monkeys running the circus. There's no accountability. There's no one displaying any, I would call, responsibility of any ethical level. It's really a sad state of affairs. If you were to get out, put your feet on the ground where this is taking place, you will see a lot of things that you're disappointed in funding. If it was your money, I don't think you'd be quite that fast to cast it to the swine. Just a question. I have yet to ever get an answer for any question. But thank you for my opportunity.
Anyone else wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Councilwoman Amorosa.
Fred?
Yes. Thank you. First off, we've done these agreements for many, many, many years. I don't necessarily agree with the price per signal because it costs us more, but quite frankly, DOTD doesn't do the jobs that they want, and that's why they're contracting out a lot of their services. This has been ongoing for many years. I know about what it costs. We're actually spending more time and more effort to address these issues. But what's getting better is the fact that we've upgraded a lot of our signals and also our controller boxes, which is really what costs us the most in dealing with time and effort that we deal that you can look on an hour per hour basis. I feel that, number one, that my department, because that's my section I deal with, we don't overlook anything. We do what we need to do. I'm not going to spend time going out and watch grass grow, because we all now have the capability, because of the new signal system, we'll be able to manage our system from our location at the center and be able to determine what needs to be done to be addressed. I don't like the dollar amount. I think we should be entitled to more, but quite frankly, if we don't do it, I don't know who else is, and then you will really see what confusion and congestion would be. Thank you.
Councilman Hudson.
Motion to cast it to the swine.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Item 125, authorize Mayor President to execute a supplemental agreement with Pavement Markings LLC for traffic restriping and installation of raised pavement markers associated with parish-wide pavement remarking in an amount not to exceed $798,080 by Transportation and Drainage Director. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Motion by Councilwoman Coleman, second by Councilwoman Rocca. Any opposition? Motion carries. Item 126, authorizing Mayor President to execute a supplemental agreement number 2 for professional engineering services with Fort DeBlata, Inc. for services associated with Move BR Enhancement Project, Florida Boulevard, Segment 2 Corridor Enhancement, 22nd Street to Airline Highway, in an amount not to exceed $1,393,546.77 by Transportation and Drainage Director. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Ms. Landry?
Penny Mae Landry. These supplemental agreements, I'm glad to see we only had one this meeting. I would like to know the almost $1.4 million figure here. Is that the supplement, an additional $1.4 million for engineering services? Because it says not in an amount not to exceed. So is the total contract 1.3, or is just this supplement almost 1.4? That's the question. And then it says for engineering services. Does that include any actual construction? Could someone provide an answer? Fred? Oh.
Ms. Landry, this is your time.
Oh, well, I want to give it to Fred. To answer? No? Okay, so my question is, I'm against this because this is not clear, and I would like to see the Metro Council agenda items be a little clearer, laid out. I guess that's you, Ashley, so that people can understand what it is that our tax dollars are going towards. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak on this item? With that, we'll go to council.
Council members, you should have received one email comment in opposition to item 126.
Councilwoman Adams.
So when you are going through the agenda on Saturday night and you're reading all the attachments, you will see in the attachment, this is a professional services contract to obtain final design engineering services, which will include survey, roadway design, and signal design. Anyway, it's attached. So you have to click in and read the attachment, and it's an official memo on letterhead. Thank you. I needed that word. Can someone from purchasing please come explain what supplemental agreements are and how and why we use supplemental agreements? Do we have anybody from the city parish who can explain the use of supplemental agreements? Okay, if nobody's here, we'll get somebody from purchasing here to discuss that in the future. Fred, would you like to go ahead and address the other issues?
Yes, ma'am. First off, when you go into an engineering contract, you have some basic services that you're going to pay for, which we negotiate with the consultant to look at those issues, what needs to be done. This job here is a little interesting because it is part of the Move BR program, and it is from 22nd to Airline, and we've had numerous meetings on about what people expect and what they want on this project. With that being said, some things that we have, you get basic services that you would do in engineering. This is to do the final plans, because you don't ever know what you're going to end up with at any point, because a lot of things have changed on this Florida Boulevard project. If you've been in any of the meetings, you'll see the changes. And the reason for those changes is because the public has asked for, can we consider that? That is the real purpose of looking at engineering work to do, so we can accommodate what the public is requesting. With that being said, the change, a supplement, yes. We're doing it because there were a lot of changes of this plan that needed to take place, including signals that we're working with DOTD on. We've gotten to a conclusion where we agree on what needs to be done. We want the final plans to be prepared so we can actually go out to get construction. But my definition of supplement is really when you have your basic scope and you're going way outside your scope, and we agree to that scope, then we work together with what that value for that scope is going to be, and that's where we are.
I have another question, Brad.
Yes, ma'am.
Move BR, did these projects go before the voters, and were they approved by the voters?
The Florida Boulevard project was approved to do the enhancements and what we wanted to do. There have been a lot of additions to it, but that was based on public meeting. And I know this council, and I know my mayor also would say, I want to do what the public is expecting, and that's what we're trying to accomplish.
But I'm just getting down to the initial project. The desire to do this came out of a lot of public meetings, and then a package that was placed before the voters, and the voters voted on. And now we're continuing to develop, but we've had tremendous public input and a vote on these.
Yes, ma'am, there's no
projects.
question about that, but I also say it was part of the Move BR program, and it was also to do road improvements, which we are going to do. I heard Ms. Landry make comment about North Boulevard and also about Florida Boulevard getting to downtown, and we are going to do road improvements. The road's going to get overlaid. There will be some also some drainage work that needs to be done at numerous locations because of the poor drainage. And remember, this is not our highway. This is DOTD's highway. But that commitment was made under the Move BR program. They're working with us to try to accomplish that, and I think this is a good project for I think the community will be appreciative of.
Thank you, Fred.
Councilman Moak?
Yeah. Am I the only one missing Reverend Anderson? Or Fred, if you could come up. As far as this process, a lot of these things, so you have your initial design with Move BL, what roads we're going to do and everything else, but then a lot of these supplementals come in once you get into the, I guess, the start digging in the dirt part and what needs to be done. But does a lot of these supplemental things come in with changes in requirements? Like dealing with state roads and stuff like that. You have your initial plan, you can go through a whole design thing or something like that, and then other requirements start kicking in. You have to take those into account and start adding those in to your plans and everything. So you're going to kick in some supplemental engineering stuff and enhancements and stuff like that automatically as requirements change. And that's coming down from the state.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Thank you.
Councilman Dunn Jr.
Fred, come back, please, sir.
Yeah, one of the two, yeah.
A question, a point of information was requested specifically about the not to exceed, language. Could you talk about that in general, but talk about it specifically as it relates to this item? Where are we now? And explain how, that number applies to the not to exceed language.
When we look at this particular item, the final plans based on what we have come together today with, we're working with DOTD, this number cannot exceed for the engineering plans and what needs to be done, even other changes that may take minor changes, or you send the plans back to DOTD and it gets reviewed 4 times instead of 3 times. Well, that still requires additional time for that consultant to be with them to making sure it gets done. It will not exceed this number.
And that doesn't necessarily mean that you will spend that number. It just means that you won't exceed it, and it doesn't mean that you're at that number now. You're typically at a number before that number or less than that number. Is that not correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Do you know the exact number that
No,
we're
I
at
do
right now?
not, sir.
But it's not at the number that's proposed. It just gives you latitude to go up to that number. Is
That's
that
correct.
not correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
All right, is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Councilman Dunn Jr., second by Councilwoman Amorosa. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 127, authorizing Mayor President to accept funding from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Federal Emergency Management Agency, National Emergency Food and Shelter Board Program for Emergency Housing Assistance on behalf of the Division of Human Development and Services, Office of Social Services Program, in the amount of $24,103 by Human Services Director. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Do we have a motion? Motion by Councilwoman Derazan, second by Councilwoman Coleman. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 128, amend the 2024 allotment of positions for the city of Baton Rouge and the parish of East Baton Rouge, adopted by ordinance number 19084, as to change the allotment of the Metropolitan Council Jewel J. Newman Community Center effective August 29, 2024. Metropolitan Council Jewel J. Newman Community Center, delete 1 building attendant, add 1 housekeeper, by Council Administrative Treasurer and the Human Resources Director. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Do we have a motion? Councilman Moak, second by Councilwoman Amorosa. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 129, creating an advisory committee to provide an execution strategy to address adjudicated properties, to be known as the Blight to Bright Oversight Committee, by Councilwoman Carolyn Coleman. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Laquita Bowers? Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm not here to either oppose or support it. I do have some comments in general. I am a resident and a homeowner in District 10, and I do want to thank Councilwoman Coleman for bringing this issue to the attention of the Metro Council, and I urge the council to, again, whenever I think about something, I always think about the why of why we want to do these things. So we know that we have a persistent, this is a persistent issue of adjudicated properties in the parish, and I would hope that the proposed committee, if approved, will assess what's working and what's not working regarding the program in general, the blight elimination program. And yes, we know that adjudicated properties have title issues, and having a clear title is essential in transforming that property. Places like New Orleans, Lake Charles, Lafayette are just a few of the cities that have made progress in part, and Baton Rouge also. But they're also thinking more out of the box and making radical decisions about how they want to deal with those, and that's happening across the nation. But I live in a community previously known as Old South Baton Rouge, and we know that the issue of adjudicated property is widespread, and I can't avoid, within a 5-mile radius of my home, there's adjudicated property. For example, someone purchased a home on the block there, across near me, and they work on it sporadically, and I know it takes time, but then you're going to let the grass overgrow on the lot, and so I like to police my street. If something's going on, then I'm going to report it. So we know that my community and North Baton Rouge, we need assistance in really having a more aggressive strategy in trying to address blight. A couple of things I'd like to propose. If this happens, then I would like to make a proposal regarding some things that you might want to consider. First of all, reforming policies that relate to blight ordinances, codes, and statutes at the local and state levels. Also, a big element of anything we're going to do is about including community voices, continuing that community involvement in building effective and workable solutions. Also, embracing innovation and intentionality. By that I mean you turn intent into action by welcoming new ideas, test the great ideas, and then scaling them that works. Utilizing the tools. We know that you have Tomily, something in-house, but we need more tools. Data analytics are being used across the country to help to do this work. Changing false narratives about different communities. We got to change that narrative so people can come in and buy. So,
thank you for your time, ma'am.
Oh, can I come back up and finish my last piece?
No, ma'am. You've had your 3 minutes.
Anybody want to help me out and give me just a couple of more minutes?
Does anyone else wishing to speak on this item?
Yeah, my buddy here.
Yes, ma'am.
How you doing? My name is Renee Smith. I'm a member of District 10. I live at 2042 Georgia Street, and I have been in the community for over 60 years. I've been a community activist for over 50, and I've seen a lot of blight and adjudicated property in our area just increase. We have come in with a lot of plans, and I want to commend you on bringing this forward, Councilman, with the blight and adjudicated and bringing it back, but we would like more community involvement. And saying this, I'm saying this. I've seen plans come into our community from the Redevelopment Authority. I have been on board with Boo Thomas in the past in our community. John Spain, we have had plans. We have been left out, but it's a lot going on with adjudicated property that needs to be done. A lot of our people have called in several times about getting things did. I can give you a list of numbers here that I've kept that's blight and adjudicated that has not been anything did. So with this, we would like community involvement. We would like stakeholders, not outside, but inside our community at the table. And we would just like a community voice. And we would like really to be involved, because it's time for our area in District 10 to get rid of the blight and move forward.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Councilman Moak.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman Coleman. I think this should be, can be a great program, and I'm glad to see you brought it up. One of the things that we deal with a lot of the times, as far as blight, is time. It takes time after time after time, and you go through this process, and then it comes into condemnation, and then you have to go through that process, and if somebody wants 30, 60, 90 days, and you go through all that again. And I know this council several times has been very focused on just getting rid of the problem. I know we've had a couple of them that we've just said, let's just go ahead and let it go, let it get tore down. But, one thing I would like to see the committee focus on, and I'd love to see just an idea, is I know I've gotten several phone calls from individuals that are ready to purchase a condemned home. We've already got it on the condemnation list. They're ready to purchase a possibly condemned home because nobody else is ready to take care of it. They're ready to go in and buy it and put it back into commerce as quickly as possible. I would love to see on this committee if there's any kind of expedited process. If you know someone that has the resources and they get X amount of time to be at X amount of point, if there's any kind of expedited process that they can go through to get it done quicker, and maybe direct contacts in city parish that they could help with. And with that being said, with 3 minutes and 21 seconds, the lady that was speaking a while ago, I would love to hear you finish off because I felt like we was going to church. She's still here? There you go. I will give you the remainder of my time to hear it out. But after that, he takes over again.
Thank you so much. I just want to end it by saying, what I said previously, that those are very large themes that we need to think about overall. But I do have the concerns about the committee. It's only for 1 year. It's going to take about 3 to 4 months, maybe a year, to even establish a good, solid plan. And my colleague, she talked about the composition of the committee. We want to still leverage the voices of the community folks. And then there's this looming issue about the cuts in next year's annual operating budget that we're going to need to consider about what kind of services and programs we're going to have as we start the next year. So I recognize, like you said, it takes time, but we're running out of time in places. So, we can't keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So we've got to really think critically about how we're going to address adjudicated properties and blight in general. Thank you so much.
You did. Councilwoman Coleman.
Yes, I'm glad that the Blight to Bright Oversight Committee thing here on the agenda has brought folk out to tonight. And so with the adjudicated properties, there are title issues, and this committee will address that along with there will be opportunities for the community to come out and not just voice opinions, but be in the works with what will go on. And so an amendment, and then back to the adjudicated properties, I am on record for asking folk who are getting the adjudicated properties to make sure they give me a plan as to what they're going to do with this adjudicated property. And I don't think that this has been done before, but if so, oh well. And so I would like to ask for an amendment to this to make sure that I include that the Office of Development is included and Bill Baton Rouge on this committee. And we forge ahead.
Is that a motion?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
We have a motion. We have a second by, Councilman Moak.
Council, felt like Shauna for a second. Mike wasn't working. Councilwoman Coleman, she brought up a good point about as far as 1 year. Do you feel like that's sufficient enough to get off the ground and running with all the different agencies and what we could do? Or do you think you might need a little more time? And I know we can bring it back to us to extend it out later, but with the ultimate goal of just going ahead and give it a little extra time, I don't mind if that's something you want to think about. I thought she brought up a good point with that.
For sure, and know that you got to start somewhere. And so this is a start, and I am definitely one that believes in finishing a thing. So that's for sure. And so we can definitely come back and ask for more time. But this is a great start to have really concerned folk that want to do something about blight and then come to the table, and then a plan is established, and then starting with it, I think it's to be commendable.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Coleman, second by Councilman Moak. Any opposition? Motion carries. Item 130, authorizing Mayor President to enter into a sub-recipient agreement with the Big Buddy in the amount of $215,000 by way of Safe, Hopeful, Healthy to provide planning, coordination, and implementation of the Mayor's School-Based Outreach Dream Academy by the Mayor's Office. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. We have a motion by Councilman Gode, second by Councilman Dunn Jr. Councilman Moak.
Could we have someone come up, please? And thank you. Just let us know about this program.
Sure. So school-based outreach has been happening at 5 of our high schools for the past 3 years. Big Buddy has been the container for this program. It's focused on workforce development as well as social emotional learning. And so Big Buddy does the workforce portion, and then we as in the mayor's office provide clinicians who are able to connect with young people. We're presently, at least last year, we're in McKinley, Glen Oaks, Capitol, Scotlandville, as well as Estruma. So
Okay. As far as funding for this, what specifically is the funding coming from? Is this grant programs that we're matching?
This particular portion of funding is coming from Bright dollars, which are SAMHSA dollars, and that funding is focused specifically on mental health support.
Is that a grant?
It's a grant, yes.
Okay, so that's a grant. Any other funding as far as general fund or?
No.
Now, as far as these programs go, when that grant's out,
when that grant is over, then we will look for other ways in which to fund the program, but presently it is being funded by that grant.
Okay, and has this program been in effect for a while?
Yeah, we've been doing this for about 4 years. Yeah, we've been doing it for a long
time. So obviously y'all are continually able to get the same grant, or have y'all had to switch different grants?
No, we've had to diversify in how we fund Safe, Hopeful, Healthy. And so Big Buddy has been funded by ARPA dollars in the past. So it just depends on what is available and what funding source fits the work that they're doing at the time.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Councilman Gode.
Just one more question. How do y'all go about finding community partners for this?
So in terms of safe, hopeful, healthy classrooms, Big Buddy helped us stand that up 3 years ago. But in terms of partnering with this project, folks can apply to partner with this project through Safe, Hopeful, Healthy. We do have an application that we utilize if people are interested in
for
partnering.
organizations?
Different orgs,
Yeah, okay.
So in the past, we've had various, Line for Line has partnered with Big Buddy, as well as trying to think
Great.
other organizations. But other organizations can come in too. So Big Buddy basically serves as a container.
Okay.
But then they
Others
offer
can come
other
in?
orgs
Good.
to come in to support.
Perfect. And can still do that,
Can
correct?
still, absolutely. We're looking for all kinds of partners.
Perfect. Thank you, Jen. Appreciate it.
Item's been properly motioned and seconded. Do we have any opposition? Seeing none, motion carries. Item 131, authorizing Mayor President to execute an amendment to the contract with LAZ Parking to extend the contract time for 2 additional years through August 31st, 2026 by the Office of Business Operations and Public Works. Is anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Councilman Dunn Jr.
Can DPW or Lay's Parking or someone come up and answer a few questions?
Council Bob Calden with Last Parking.
Last Parking, I'm sorry. We had a series of meetings with you all, with DPW, about some of the concerns that we addressed, that we had faced here with your company, the parking and things of that nature. Are you aware of those conversations, and have you guys addressed any of those concerns that we brought to you? Because I don't know that you was in the meeting.
Can you brief me just basically on what concerns specifically you're talking about so I make sure I address the correct thing?
Sure. One of the concerns, many of us oftentimes either misplace or leave at home our badge to get in. I know council members do it, maybe staff members don't. And oftentimes we'll press the button to call to inform that, hey, we don't have our badge, or maybe the badge may not be working, and we need some attention to help us get through. And in my experience, that number goes to a 800 number, somebody that's not on site, that is not aware of Baton Rouge or what's going on here. So we wanted that number to go to someone on site that could address it versus it going out of town. What's your knowledge of that particular situation?
Yeah, I'm familiar. I think we've addressed some of the issues with the access cards not being present and allowing folks to get out without their access card on those days. And then in addition to that, the intercoms are directed to our local manager, Renee, during regular business hours.
Okay. The other thing, as it relates to that, to try to simplify, one of the recommendations, they said they would have some sort of directory with staff members, department heads, council members there. So if we came and had an issue, they can, be aware of who we are and know that we have access if we have an issue. I don't know that has taken place or not.
Renee's got that directory now. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's the one or two things that I'm familiar with. I'm going to ask my colleagues, who was in those meetings and brought up other concerns to see if those were addressed, but those were the two that was an issue for me. So glad to hear you've addressed those.
Councilman Moak.
Yeah, I know, right? Totally showing it tonight. Keep totally forgetting the mic. Y'all handle the parking meters and stuff too, correct?
We do not currently handle the parking meters. We operate the 2 garages,
Just the
and then
garages.
the basement. Yeah.
Okay. What, as far as what the contract's been so far and everything, give it so the public can know and stuff. What have y'all done so far as enhancements and stuff that were supposed to be some of the things done with the parking garage?
Absolutely. I haven't been with LAZ for the full term of the contract. I joined them about 1.5 years ago, but I am familiar with some of the projects that have been completed. We've added state-of-the-art parking equipment to the location, upgrading all of that. We've provide solutions for folks to pay by phone to allow a seamless exit. So we're providing lots of parking technology. In addition, structurally, we've completed some lighting repairs to the facility. And then also some access control. There's some grill gates that had needed to be replaced to secure the facility after hours.
Okay, so extending this contract by 2 years, what do you see, or what is LAZ looking to do? Any enhancements over the next couple of years, future plans? Or do you feel like you've done the contract and now we're just going forward?
No. We have already got plans to add additional technology to allow for expedited ingress into the facility from a parking standpoint. And we're also working with a consultant to provide a more detailed assessment of the facilities and projects that might need to be completed in the future.
Okay, what you're looking at for a timeline with that?
Currently, the consultants already visited the sites, and so right now we're just waiting on a second visit at this point. So I would say that could happen within the next potentially 2 months.
Okay.
60 days.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Yes. What about our parking spaces being made available to us? Nobody parking in our parking spaces during events that may, during other events.
Yeah, I believe that that can be addressed. I'm not familiar with that. Renee probably would need to address that more specifically. But if you have a reserved space, it should be reserved 24/7.
That's right. It should be, but it hasn't.
Okay.
been. Yeah. So that's something that we definitely need.
No problem.
To have addressed. And also the ability to enter more than once a day or after 5 without being charged again. That's something else that was an issue.
Sure. You mean with an access card?
Sure.
Yeah, you should be able to enter more than once a day, is my
The same
understanding.
thing I said, but we weren't able to without being charged again.
We can look into that for you. That's not a problem.
Okay.
If you have a specific date, I can provide you my email address. We can dig in to see if there was a technology problem or whatever the issue was.
No technology problem. It was said that after 5 that we could not come in and not be charged again.
I don't see why that would be an issue.
I wouldn't either.
So, Councilman Coleman, that hadn't been addressed?
It should be, but we're here tonight to talk about renewing a contract. So we want to bring those things up to make sure that they have been addressed and that they're not occurring anymore. So,
Okay, I'm just
yeah.
making sure it hasn't been addressed, because I haven't heard any concern since the last time we met.
And it is my hope that that concern not be, I don't even look at that, but it is my concern that it not be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Anything else?
Councilman Dunn Jr.
I want to reinforce that point too, because it seems like you are not familiar with that issue as well. I know Trina has been briefed on this issue. It was several situations where a few of our colleagues had been, in my opinion, not handled in a professional manner as it relates to their parking spaces and was restricted from their parking spaces. You know, we communicated to our staff and your staff that oftentimes we are asked to come downtown for events, come downtown to come to our offices here and do work at all hours of the night. So we thought that those spaces should be, reserved for us because we don't know have advance notice when we would use those spaces, and we didn't want to be restricted from use of those spaces or restricted of when we can come and go into this facility or have access to this facility. So we need that commitment from you on the record that that will be in place, that we won't have any issues with gaining access to our parking spaces and gaining access to this facility at any time, 24 hours a day.
My understanding of the situation was that that was addressed in the last meeting, and that the thought was that they were just following what the rules were for the facility. And so my understanding is that's already been addressed.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
As far as following the rules, does that include calling the police on a council member? Because I'll take up with what he just said right there. When I try and get in my parking spot and I'm told no, and I'm like, hey, can we call somebody? And they go to call somebody, and then the police show up, is who they call. So I think it needs to be addressed pretty quick, if it hadn't already. Sure. I know we had one discussion about this, but yeah, I think going forward, that needs to be done very, very quickly. Because we brought this up a long time ago when, like my fellow council members have said, when we get called down for events and everything, sure. I don't expect, I might just have to rush down here, do a certain thing or appear for a certain thing or whatever, and then I might go ahead and, leave or stay for the event. But when I do that and I'm here for the event and I get the police called on me because I'm told I can't go to my parking spot with my name on it, that's the problem.
I agree.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, I can tell you just from personal experience, and I don't know how recent that was for any of you, but last time we had a lengthy discussion about this, shortly after I came after hours and there was an event going on, so the attendants were there. I let myself in with the access card, and there was somebody parked, an attendant parked across our spots, specifically making sure no one else parked in our spots, and they moved for me and let me park. And so I appreciated that. I don't know if that's an ongoing situation that's going to continue. I think that's the right move, though, just to make sure, because obviously if nobody's there, you can't control, and once a car's there, it's very difficult. But that, I think, was the right move, is to have an attendant not only checking people in, but in there making sure that the reserved spots are, in fact, reserved for the people who couldn't use it 24/7. So that was my experience. Councilman Hurst.
Hey, so I think I love what Brandon said, and I think that it's doable. But I think the easiest thing to do would be to take a little eye bolt and put it in the wall, and then put a chain across it, so that nobody can get there. And at that point, if we decide to come to an event, which a lot of us do, but it's random. It's not all of us at one time, right? So sometimes we have to present. We have to do a whole lot. Sometimes we're here working. But there's an event going on, then we can say, hey, I'm a council member. Can you come unbolt or unhinge, whatever this may be? I don't think an attendant is necessary, but I think a measure should be taken so that all, including not just ours, but other designated parking, mayor, whoever else is not taken. That's the easiest way to do. Just chain it off, and if we want to get in there, somebody open it up for us.
Sure, we can cone them or chain them, or yeah.
Councilman Hudson.
I'm going to take a little bit different approach. I really think sidewalk chalk is the way to go. I'm just joking. By all means, if y'all need to sell the District 9 spot still, you're still welcome to use my spot, and I'll let you know if there's an issue. But please continue to make our garage as profitable as possible. That's the main point, and I think that's what we need to be focused on, is making the garage as profitable as possible. So thank you.
We'll find another one for you if you...
But keep in mind, we do pay. So, yeah, profitable is good, but keep in mind, we pay for our spots.
Understood.
Councilwoman Rocca.
So very short and sweet. I understand some of the issues that we've had, and I've expressed my concerns time out and time again. Could you please convey to your staff, because this is my concern, if the people with the names on the wall are getting treated in a certain way, I'm a little worried, concerned, and alarmed that potentially all the people that come here that work the regular 8 to 5 every single day might be dealing with some of the issues. And I've heard that staff has been somewhat aggressive towards them in the past. So just if you could continue to convey to them that we'd rather them treat them with the utmost respect, because we are paying you as a vendor to give us a service. So thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, I can assure you that's not a standard that LAS represents at all. And so we're definitely going to address those with individual employees and also the group. I'll make a point to send everyone through customer service training in the next 30 days.
I appreciate that.
Councilman Moak.
Yeah, real quick, I'm glad you brought that up, Councilwoman Rocca. Just a few minutes ago, we were sitting back here, and a few council aides came in to the back after we had one of our discussions, went back there to get a cup of coffee. Several council aides came in, and I was like, where y'all been? They said, well, we went and moved our cars. Moved your cars in the middle of a council meeting? Some of the concerns are, if y'all handle this garage underneath here and everything, is, I guess, and where they're parked at, maybe the lighting's deficient, maybe they have some concerns of security. I'd like you to take a look at that as quick as possible to address those things. And it's weird that I was back there when they came in and that actually came up. So I would love to see you address that for our workers here.
Absolutely. We've been addressing some of the ongoing lighting issues as they continue to occur. So it's a rolling issue.
All right, do we have a motion? Motion by Councilman Moak, second by Councilman Hudson. Any opposition? Motion carries. Item 132, amending the annual operating budget so as to reallocate $420,000 in proceeds from the local fiscal recovery funds through the American Rescue Act from the public health blight elimination expense category to the infrastructure stormwater category for stormwater cave-in/point repairs in Council District 3 and 9 by the Mayor President. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Councilman Gode?
Thank you very much. I'll certainly make the motion. I wanted to express my gratitude to the mayor, the mayor's office, Dante and Trina for their working with me on this to make it happen. I appreciate it very much.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second by Councilman Hudson. Any opposition? Motion carries. Go to adjudicated properties. We're going to take items 133 through 155 together. 133, Lot 4, 5, and 6, Square 31, Subdivision Banks, Metro Council District 10, Coleman, high bidder, Chantel Wilson, $8,700. Item 134, Lot 8-A, Square 39, Subdivision Banks, Metro Council 10, Coleman, high bidder, Keith & Keith Investments, LLC, $3,000. Item 135, Lot 28, Subdivision Swart Place, Metro Council District 10, Coleman, high bidder, Keith & Keith Investments, LLC, $5,100. 136, Lot 281, Subdivision East Dayton, Metro Council District 7, Darazan. High bidder, Kanko LLC, $9,500. Lot 24, Square 22, Subdivision South Baton Rouge, Metro Council District 10, Coleman. High bidder, Kanko LLC, $6,900. Lot 16 plus Square 110, Subdivision Estruma, Metro Council District 10, Coleman. High bidder, Robbins Rentals LLC, $45,000. Lot 12, Square 27, Subdivision Greenville Extension, Metro Council District 7, Darazan. High bidder, Stallworth Realty LLC, $100. Lot 184, Subdivision Colonial Hill, Metro Council District 7, Darazan. High bidder, Vote Louisiana, $8,100. Lot 182, Metro Council District 7, Darazan. High bidder, Vote Louisiana, $600. Lot 6, Square 4, Subdivision Greenville Addition, Metro Council District 7, Darazan. High bidder, Isis Wright, $9,500. Lot 5, Square 6, Subdivision Scott, Metro Council District 10, Coleman. High bidder, Isis Wright, $5,300. Lot 8, Point Square 251, Subdivision Swart, Metro Council District 10, Coleman. High bidder, Keith & Keith Investments, LLC, $5,600. Lot 7, Square 11, Subdivision Jordan Terrace, Metro Council District 2, Banks. High bidder, King Kador, $1,600. Lot 32, Subdivision Southern Heights, Metro Council District 2, Banks. High bidder, Keith & Keith Investments, $33,900. Lot I-1, Subdivision Idaho Stewart Tract, Metro Council District 1, Knoll. High bidder, Nakia White, $80,000. Lot 23 and 24, Square 32, Subdivision Fortune, Metro Council District 5, Hearst. High bidder, Mashandy Marchand, $200. Lot 1A, Square 41, Subdivision Fortune, Metro Council District 5, Hearst. High bidder, Mashandy Marchand, $200. Lot 1141A, Subdivision Sherwood Forest, Metro Council District 4, Moak. High bidder, TD Real Estate Group, $2,000. Lot 6, Subdivision Riverland, Metro Council District 3, Gode. High bidder, TD Real Estate Group, $2,000. Lot 23, Subdivision Sherwood Oaks Park, Metro Council District 6, Dunn Jr. High bidder, TD Real Estate Group, $2,000. Lot 20, Subdivision Sherwood Oaks Park, Metro Council District 6, Dunn Jr. High bidder, TD Real Estate Group, $2,000. Lot 150, 150-A, 150-A, and 151-A and 151-B, subdivision Ashley, Metro Council District 6, Dunn Jr., high bidder, TD Real Estate Group, $6,000. Lot 12, Square 13, subdivision Greenville Extension, Metro Council District 7, Darazan, high bidder, Ben Ridley Jr., $12,700. Do we have a motion? Oh, I'm sorry. Anyone wishing to speak on any of these items? 133 through 155. Seeing none, we'll go to council. Councilman Dunn Jr., motion approved. Second by Councilman Hurst. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, we're going to go to our separate sheet for administrative matters. On May 1st. Okay, item A, 2400873, to amend the 2024 current expense budget for emergency medical services to appropriate $5 million from fund balance unassigned to provide for intergovernmental transfers to the Louisiana Department of Health and Hospitals for the upper payment limit Medicaid reimbursement program. By Emergency Medical Services Director. Do we have a motion to waive the rules? Motion by Councilman Hurst, second by Councilman Dunn Jr. Any opposed? We're going to have a public hearing on the motion to waive the rules. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none. Is anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now we'll call for a public hearing on the item. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Do we have a motion on the item? Motion by Councilman Hurst, second by Councilman Dunn Jr. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item B, acceptance of low bid city court facility duct cleaning remediation. Do we have a motion to waive the rules? Motion by Councilman Hurst, second by Councilwoman Adams. Any opposed? We're going to have a public hearing on the motion to waive the rules. Anyone wishing to speak? Seeing none. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, we have a hearing on the item. Anyone wishing to speak on the item? Seeing none. Motion by Councilman Hurst. We have a second. Second by Councilman Dunn Jr. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Okay, we're going to go to appointments, items 156 through 160, Fire Protection District Number 1 Advisory Board, consideration of reappointing and replacing C. Jordan Charley, Charles Hall, Jesse Mullen, Larry Powinski, Thomas Scott. I'm going to ask that these items be deferred for 2 weeks. It does say requested reappointment, and I do believe that's the direction we're going to go. However, I heard some conflicting information that one or two may actually not be requesting reappointment, so I just wanted to clarify before we move forward. So I'll make a motion to defer those items. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Goday. Any opposed? Motion is deferred for 2 weeks. Item 161, group project traffic and striping improvements, Thunberg Lane Roundabout striping improvements, Bacardi Avenue traffic improvements, contractor Ernest P. Bro Electrical LLC, change order in amount of $13,815.95. Do we have anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Do we have a motion? Motion by Councilman Hurst, second by Councilman Hudson. Any opposed? Motion carries. Final acceptances, item 162, group project traffic and striping improvements, Thunberg Lane Roundabout striping improvements, Bacardi Avenue traffic improvements, contractor Ernest P. Bro Electrical LLC. Final cost, $402,251.95. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. We have a motion. Motion by Councilman Hurst, second by Councilwoman Amorosa. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we're going to go to item 165, receiving a report on Breck's. Actually, we're going to jump to, first we're going to go to 166. There's a request to delete this item. Receiving a report from the East Baton Rouge Assessor Brian Wilson on the Melrose East Crime Prevention District Board regarding the recent parcel fee change and/or reduction, including but not limited to the process followed by the parcel fee reduction by Councilman Cleve Dunn Jr. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Councilman Dunn Jr. Motion to delete. Second by the chair. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 167, same, we have a request to delete. Receiving a report from the East Baton Rouge Parish Attorney Greg Rome and Council Administrator Ashley Beck on their findings and/or communication with the East Baton Rouge Parish Assessor Brian Wilson and the Assessor's Office regarding the Melrose East Crime Prevention District and the recent parcel fee change and/or reduction by Councilman Cleve Dunn Jr. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Motion to delete by Councilman Dunn Jr., second by the chair. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 165, receiving a report on BREC's 2024 Economic Outlook, Strategic Plan, and Accomplishments from BREC Superintendent Corey Wilson by Councilwoman Shauna Banks. We're going to go ahead and have the report, and then we'll have the public hearing. Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Council members, thank you for having me here this evening amongst the important business you have to do. Before I get into the presentation, just wanted to publicly thank you for your service. I know it's a lot of hard work in terms of the service of a public servant. So just want to tell you guys publicly how much I appreciate you working with me, collaborating with me. As I always say, we're serving the same people, so we can do that better when we work together. Certainly want to recognize all the staff in here who do the real work, right? We appreciate all their service, and especially to one of your staff members, our Commissioner, Trina Hall. She does the work of not only working here full-time, but also serving on BREC's board, which is also like a full-time job as well, too. So we really appreciate her service and commitment. I'm not just saying that because she's my boss, but really appreciate her helping guide our council, our commission on a lot of public government questions that come up, and she's able to handle that in her role serving here with DPW. Last but not least, recognize the BREC staff that is with us today. Assistant Superintendent Reed Richard, who's responsible for our system-wide planning, including our most recent 10-year plan, which was approved by Commissioner Hall and the rest of our board last Thursday. We'll give you an update on that, as well as our Chief Operating Officer, Andrea Roberts, who's responsible for all of our community engagement efforts, partnership efforts, and today she's driving the slideshow. So appreciate them being here as well, too. I was going to say most of this presentation, all of this presentation was put together by those two individuals. I hope you like it. If you don't like it, I approved it, so blame it on me. And we can go to the first slide, Andrea, just jump right into it. This is a slide that Commissioner Hall is familiar with. We present it to our commission on a monthly basis, something I started doing when I became superintendent. Most of our presentations talk about the stuff we build and projects, and you know, folks like to see their tax dollars at work, but at the end of the day, we are people serving people. And so I like to let the commission know where we're serving people. And as you can see from this report, the end of 23, 1.6, almost 1.7 million. And these are people we can count coming through the doors, right, at our recreation centers, golf department, coming through the turnstiles at the zoo. But you see the bulk of the work. This is also a reminder that the commission, the core services that we provide are those recreation centers, as well as our athletic fields where a lot of youth play. Over 1.3 million of that 1.6 or 7 million is at our recreation centers. And so I like to remind folks that at the heart of what we do is having safe places for kids to play, learn, and grow. Next, this is through this year. As you can see, we're already at close to 1.2 million through the end of July, up 17%. As folks continue to come and use our facilities that we have offered. The next slide goes into more detail. We can see exactly which recreation centers. North Sherwood Forest and District 5 is our most frequented recreation center. That's because that's the one that has an indoor track. And we're here in South Louisiana, and if you can be indoors and exercise, it's always better. So Liberty Lagoon, we have our special use facilities, our athletic facilities. You see Oak Villa, a lot of people went there in July, different events, our tennis centers. But this is just a snapshot that we provide to our board once a month. The next slide probably should have been the first slide because we always like to start off with our mission. And forgive me, I haven't memorized this yet because this was just adopted when we passed our new 10-year plan on Thursday. And so some key words I like to just focus on, talk about enhancing the well-being and connectivity of East Baton Rouge. Anytime we talk to the public about what they want to see with their recreational dollars, that connectivity piece is a big one. It's hard to sit here or to be in Baton Rouge without getting an alert on your phone. Got one while I was sitting in a meeting about a pedestrian being hit. Fortunately, it wasn't in EBR Parish, but that is something that we deal with. So that connectivity is a big piece. Preserving, maintaining, that speaks to our conservation efforts and preserving what we have here, maintaining, that's obviously important, and improving our parks. All of these assets that we have are living assets, and they have lives, expectant lives, and they sometimes we exceed those expected lives, and so we have to improve our parks, recreational facilities, natural resources, and recreational experiences for the benefit of current and future generations. And so we certainly had an eye towards future generations. As I listened to our Pledge of Allegiance earlier today, I thought about all the work that we're doing is for those future generations. Talk about some transformative projects, and I'm going to move fast. We got a lot of slides, but I'll open it up for questions as soon as we get through this. The zoo in Greenwood Community Park, we're very excited about that, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. Howe Community Park right there in District 7, we're excited about that new recreation center in the 70805. Frenchtown Conservation Area, Councilman Moak's district, where we have a beautiful nature station there. Safe rooms at Memorial and Hairline is something we work directly with City Parish on. That is a result of hazard mitigation dollars that the cities receive as a result of the 2016 floods. And the Mayor's Office of Homeland Security reached out to us to say, hey, would you build these 2 safe rooms at Memorial and Airline? And we said, sure, but what's a safe room? And so a safe room is a place where the Emergency Operations Center, they all come together when there's times of disaster, that they'll have hurricane-resistant walls, they'll have all the electronics to make sure we're able to operate during an emergency. But 99.9% of the time when they're not being used for that, state-of-the-art recreation centers, multiple basketball courts, indoor running facilities, strategically placed at Memorial and Airline so that we can get in and out of that location. But we're excited about that. We're very thankful for City Parish working with us on that. Airline Highway Community Park, we're excited about bringing our 13th community park to District 9, where we'll also have a new recreation center as part of that safe room there, but that'll be a new community park, splash pads, playgrounds, all ball fields, all sorts of things that we have at our other 12 community park. The green infrastructure piece we're always working on, and we have a big Louisiana watershed initiative. We were funded some money to improve Cypress Bayou. That's also at Greenwood Community Park. The trails, the bike pedestrian master plan in 2020, City Parish, your council, as well as our board, approved over 400 miles of connectivity trails, and we're very proud of that, and we'll continue to work on that, and it's about time for an update on that. And the lakes projects, we maintain 2 of the lakes that you own, but we are able to work with not only City Parish, but the state, LSU, LSU Foundation, and several others, BRAF, to be able to bring that project together. It's a $5 million commitment from BREC, $5 million commitment from City Parish for a last time I checked, the number was, I believe, $70 million project that continues to grow. So that's a great use of leveraging taxpayer dollars to bring that. We've been sharing this great news with everybody we can. We had a 3-year study with the Trust for Public Land, very reputable organization that looks at parks all across the country. It ranks parks, it does all sorts of things, and so we wanted to know what the economic impact of the work that we do. And so we work with the Trust for Public Land, and they determined that there are a lot of economic impacts that we provide. The top number up top, 1.7 million people visited our facilities in 2022. That's a little higher than the number that we had, but we trust their number as well. 20.8 million in property value improvements, which brings 1.7 million annually in terms of ad valorem taxes. By having our parks, we save $8 million in health care costs just by people going out, making sure that they're healthy. That bottom number, I'm hoping Adam and Fred is looking at that, but there's almost a $3 million annual savings in terms of stormwater management that we contribute to the parish by having our parks, which hold, slowly release, clean a lot of stormwater that we receive. $26 million in tourism each year. Folks come into participate at different, the zoo or our golf courses or play in different leagues. You know, last year we had the event of the year in Louisiana, according to Louisiana Travel Association. That state association gave us the event of the year all across the state for the soccer tournament that we had at Burbank in District 3, where over 20,000 people were in town for a week, and it had a $26 million impact, just that one event itself. So what that means, in 2021, we received about $73 million in tax revenue, and we provided over $318 million of economic benefits. The big number there was the recreational benefits that we provide, the ability to walk or have a picnic or to go to the playgrounds. All of those things provide some sort of benefit to our citizens, so we're excited about that. And so let's talk about Imagine Your Parks. Bring you back to 2000 and 2004 when our park system was at a crossroads, and we did ask the community to pass a new tax back in 2004, Imagine Your Parks. And that's what brought us our new community parks. We created a lot of community parks. We brought Liberty Lagoon, we brought dog parks, we brought skate parks, all sorts of things we introduced to the community as a result of that first Imagine Your Parks tax, which was built on over 100 community meetings to make sure that we were doing what the community said. And so that transformed our park system, and you can see some of the transformations there. Botanical Garden at the left there, Howe Community Park. We have that outdoor fitness center at Howe, as well as I believe that is Howe on the right as well, showing those improvements. Ultimately, those improvements following that plan led us to being recognized, and I think you see Commissioner Hall in that picture there, Phoenix, Arizona, October 2022 in the convention center, 5,000 plus park and recreational professionals, and they announced Baton Rouge is having the best park system in the country. But it was because of that plan that we got community input on, implemented, and was successful in that. 2015, 2014, we had Imagine Your Parks 2. That's basically continuing to enhance the quality of our park system that allowed us to have the bike and pedestrian master plan, to do the improvements at Greenwood, to do the lakes projects, and continue the work that we started back in 2004. And so that brings us now to Imagine Your Parks 3. That's sort of where we're at now. Our 10-year plan just approved by our commission last Thursday, and that plan focuses on equity, but it also focuses on sustainable operations. A lot of discussions tonight. Again, we have some of the same challenges when we talk about old facilities and revitalizing old facilities and some of those challenges, and so we wanted to make sure as we bring on these new and exciting things, they don't come with a bag of maintenance money, right? We still have the same maintenance dollars to maintain everything, and so we have to shift these dollars around to make sure, and so we'll talk a little bit about that. But the plan, as all of our plans, are based on community engagement, knocked on over 7,000 doors. We actually had 15 community advisory members as part of our team who assisted. Statistically valid surveys, you probably got one of those in the mail, and many other forms of community input help develop the plans. 12 stakeholder meetings, including some of those meetings with you guys as well. Next slide talks about that focus on equity and being able to include language. And then, look, we asked the community, what's your definition of equity? And you can see the various things that we receive: affordable amenities, rectifying lack of investment in communities, remembering cultural importances, and ADA accessible, and making sure that everybody, regardless of your abilities, regardless of your background, income, that everybody has access to a great park. These are 5 key themes that we received and heard and basically structured our plan on. The next slide gives you a little more detail about how those 5 goals are. So welcoming everyone, that talks about equity and in terms of quality and those sort of things. Connected people, that's the programming, the partnerships, making sure we're connected. The environment is a lot of things that we heard from the community about the importance of our park system in terms of holding stormwater, in terms of providing trees for clean air and green space. And so that's a big thing that we want to continue. Connected places, that talks about the connectivity. And what we've heard from our board and from the community, how do we move forward sustainably? How do we, every time I go to the commission with a new project, how's it going to be funded? How's it going to be maintained? This new plan actually requires us, for every new project, to attach a maintenance plan to it. And so that is something we're excited about. Well, maybe Reed's not excited about it, but we're excited about doing that work and making sure we're moving forward sustainably. The plan recognizes that, we're one parish, but we're different, right? There's downtown, there's urban, there's suburban, and then there's rural areas. All of those different areas have different needs. And the next slide, I think, even goes further into that. Well, this is a piece that I'm most excited about. I actually asked Reed to make a big poster of this so I can keep it in my wall, on my wall. This is a map of our parish, but at least for the first time in our history, it recognizes that there are areas within our parish that have higher needs than some of the other areas. And so, as you can expect, Old South Baton Rouge, Glen Oaks area, the Gardere area you see down at the bottom of the map, those dark areas are, after we overlaid all these indicators about low income and high poverty and lack of access and all these different indicators, and look, we even included where has BREC invested at historically, or where haven't we invested historically. All of that input is what made up this map, which identifies where the greatest needs are in our parish, and that's the way we intend to move forward. The next slide talks about our vast system, and so this slide compared us to our peer communities and said that we have 38 more recreation centers than the average community our size. Sounds good, but we'll keep talking about that. 87 more sports fields, 111 more basketball courts than our peer communities. And so you see those peer communities listed down there. Provides great amenities and choices for our community, but also puts a big burden on us in terms of maintaining all of this inventory. Next slide talks about our biggest challenge, and that's the 56 recreation centers we have. Again, 38 more than the average community our size or park system our size. And you can see some statistics on those recreation centers. We have 27 of them are older than 30 years. Three of them are older than 50 years old, which is, I would say that's beyond its useful life there. But we did the analysis, and that quote down there, that's from our scientific survey, is an important one. 72% of the people that we surveyed are supportive of fewer but higher quality facilities. And that's our focus. That's the community's focus. How do we have better quality facilities? Our community deserves state-of-the-art recreation centers, but how do you do that and still maintain all of these old ones? And so here's the recommendation that they gave us. The current model shows that we have a bunch of the same sort of recreation centers all across the parish. And so the recommendation is to go to a tiered model where you have not only different size recreation centers, but as you can see, some of those recreation centers are coming offline to allow us to provide better quality while maintaining a high level of service. And so what that looks like, we talk about the Tier 1 and what that means, and Tier 2, you see a picture of a standard recreation center there that we have that sort of looks like most of our recreation centers. The Tier 2 centers, we talk about having indoor centers as well as outdoor recreation hubs. We're excited about introducing our community to a lot of the benefits of those outdoor recreation hubs. And when you talk about our current recreation centers, some of the challenges there, lack of air condition, sometimes it blocks the site in terms of safety and those things. It's limited in terms of when you can use it. You have to have a staff member there. Most of our recreation centers are open from 3 to 8, sort of coincides when school gets out. But that prevents a lot of challenges in regards to maintenance. And so some of the benefits of outdoor recreation, obviously you can use them more often. You don't have to have staff there. You don't have to have these major HVAC systems to keep it running. And so that's part of our strategy to shift our maintenance dollars. Again, we're not getting new maintenance dollars to take care of that new recreation center at Airline or that new recreation center that's coming to Memorial, that's safe room. So we have to shift those dollars. Here are some what we call precedent images of existing places all across the country. Both of those are outdoor facilities. You can barely tell the one on the left is an outdoor facility, but it is. You can see the fans and all sorts of things. As Councilman Hurst told me, hey man, it's 100 degrees outside, and when I go into your facility, it's 115 degrees. And so we recognize that, and we want to make sure that we're providing different options that are high quality, that address the heat here in South Louisiana that's not going away anytime soon. So you can have a covered playground, covered pickleball courts. I think the next slide shows covered basketball courts, all sorts of things you can do, state-of-the-art, high quality, that will serve our community better than some of our closed, small, shut-down recreation centers that we have in every one of your districts. I've talked to pretty much everybody except Ashley about a recreation center that needs air conditioning in their district. This is just something else in terms of environmental benefits. We've talked about all the different environmental benefits our park provide. That was a theme that came up frequently when we asked people. And so even if you don't go to your park, you're still benefiting from your park based on these environmental benefits. This is a nice educational slide that we've been sharing with everyone, including our staff, when we talk about how BREC is funded. Total millages, you see there, 14.463. We have one permanent millage that was created back in 46. We realized pretty quickly that that wasn't enough to even maintain the system back then. We grew, we added 2 10-year millages around 1964 or so, and then in 2004 we added the Imagine Your Parks to bring us to that 14.4. It roughly brings about $80 million in a year, and it's 80% of our revenue. We also bring in additional revenue, which allows us to provide additional services, golf, recreation, and the zoo. But that total, brings us close to $100 million in revenue. But that's how it breaks down when folks say, oh, I see BREC so many times. That's because over our 75-plus year history, we've added bit by bit. When we were created in 46, it said, BREC, you have the ability to levy 18 mills. We've never just went to 18 mills. We said, okay, what do we need? Let's go up a little bit. What do we need? And again, we've gone up one time since 1964 and do not intend to go up. At least I don't. I can't speak for future superintendents what their recommendations will be. This all talks about, thanks to Mr. McAllister, we all know that BREC is on the ballot. 2 of our millages, 6.2 mills, are regular mills. And then at 2004, that 20-year IYP, both of those are up. I told you, 14.4, you're looking at a total of 9 right there. And so that's 65% of BREC's budget is on the November 5th ballot. That is a huge number. You don't have to be a mathematician to know, 65, if you look, and that equates to about 50 million of the 80 million. And so we lose $50 million. We have a total different park system that we're talking about. It's important that the millage will remain the same, and it's important that we maintain our current level of what we like to say is gold medal service. Come celebrate with us, October 5th. We're going to have 3 ribbon cuttings out at Greenwood Community Park. I remember March of 2018 when several council members, maybe you're not sitting up here now, but several council members back in March of 2018 came to our board meeting and demanded that the zoo remain at its current location. They were supported by about 100 community members, and our board made the decision to keep it at its current location. We immediately went into planning how we can have a world-class zoo at that location, and we're excited that we've completed the first phase. And so October 5th, come and celebrate with us out at Greenwood Community Park. These are some events that are happening in September. All of this is at brec.org/this month. And the final slide, you can sign up for our newsletter. And the great thing about our newsletter, you can customize it so that it only gives you information that you want to hear about. So if you only want to hear about when we stock the ponds to fish, just check I'm interested in fishing. If you're only interested in pickleball, just check pickleball, and that's all you'll receive information on. I appreciate your time, and now I'll answer any questions you may have.
Well, we need to open a public hearing. So anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Just state your name, please, for the record.
My name is Trudy Sumpton. I'm a taxpayer in 2 different districts, District 2 and District 5. I visited the park on 72nd Street, July 22nd or the 23rd, and that park is deplorable. I took pictures, sent it to BREC, trying to get answers as to why the grass wasn't cut, why trees was down. I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous, but the park, it was a lot of stuff that was in the streams, a lot of debris, trees, and tires and different things. 4 bridges was out, and I have not gotten an answer back. And I'm trying to figure out, he's talking about all these other parks, but what is your plans for the 72nd Park? So that's my question.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on this item? State your name for the record, please.
My name is Gary Price. I live in the northeast section of the northern part of East Baton Rouge Parish. There is a rec park across the road from the 130 acres that I own and pay taxes on. Whenever the locals want to have a function at this park, they have to rent porta potties because all the bathrooms are locked. There's no one watching anything there. A little further down the road, 5 miles down the road, we're in Cheneyville, Reams Road Park. There are a number of citizens out there. This land was donated to BREC with the agreement at the time of the donation that the facility that they would build would be for use of the people and by the people for the people. Well, it has been locked. They can't get in it. The bathrooms can't get in it. They would rather. Anyway, that's where that is. In Pride, Louisiana, another portion of land was donated, and right now it's all locked up. They've stolen the aluminum seats off of the stadiums. I have not, and I live across the road. I travel those roads regular. There, you no longer see what they call a guy that went around and opened the gates and checked on everything. Park ranger. I have not seen a park ranger in several years. I used to see them multiple times a day. They're still getting tax dollars that we're paying, but they're taking money, and we're not getting any benefit from the money they're taking. And this did not just start. They would rather this man sitting there bragging about these millions of dollars. Well, you know what? Everyone out there is not a millionaire. There's a lot of people who will never go to the zoo. There's a lot of them that will never play golf. But the neighborhood land that was donated by their family members, they are being deprived of the use of it. Now, that's just one of the things. But anyway, also the taxes people out there in this confused area, because of the road mistake made in the mapping department, naming the road, these people are unable to get their tax assessments because their address is not recognized by Baton Rouge nor Zachary. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak on this? Yes, ma'am.
As you know, BRAC finally released to the state legislative auditor their 2021 financials, and it showed for 2021 a $16 million deficit. What I have here are some internal documents relating to the years 2022 and 2023. So I'm kind of questioning the $16 million based on these BREC documents. For instance, maintenance shows a $13.5 million deficit. Operations shows a $10,600,000 deficit. Recreation shows an $11 million deficit. Capital Improvements Fund shows an $18 million deficit for the years 22 and 23. Now, one of the problems is because BREC filed their financials late, there are all kind of restrictions now on BREC as an entity. So I would like for this council to make sure they keep a keen eye on BREC as an entity that is costing taxpayers money, that has closed parks, Someone just showed me a picture of some horrific pictures of some of the conditions of parks. So we need to have a keen eye. I do realize it is a, whatever you call it, a political subdivision. However, we do have a say-so, and the taxpayers will have a say-so when they vote. And hopefully, all of these things will be looked at, and that you will ask for the current financials that show this level of deficits. This is just 5 pages. I have 12 pages showing deficits in different departments. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak on this item?
Council members, you should have received one email comment on item 165.
We'll go to Councilman Hurst.
Corey, if you want to address some of that stuff, you can take my first 5. I saw you kind of itching to the mic, so.
Yeah, just real quickly, and so no, I mean, I think all of that sums up what I just presented, right? We have a lot of parks to take care of. A lot of parks were donated and accepted and without an eye for the future on how we're going to maintain all of this. So we certainly are thankful for previous administrations accepting a lot of donations, but now we have to maintain that. And so, look, we just completed a master plan for Scotlandville Parkway Park, which is the park that runs along 110, right along Harding is the big entrance there, and 72nd over there by Howell Place. And so that master plan was just completed. Actually, Whitney Van Sale, who's the Downtown Development Director, helped develop that master plan. And just like we completed a master plan for the zoo in 2019 and are celebrating the first phase of that in 2024, it takes time from the master. So there are plans in place for Scotlandville. Certainly Cheneyville, we recognize the challenges out there. One of the things that we did look at is where have we not historically invested in, and Cheneyville rose to a high level there. So they are a priority for us moving forward as early as 2025. We are actively trying to schedule community meetings right now to talk about Reams, Sandy Creek, and Pride. And so we are aware of the challenges there, and we're working towards them. And last but not least, when we talk about our financial statements and audits, so all of our financial statements we present to our commission on a monthly basis. Commissioner Hall sits on our finance committee. She certainly scrutinizes all of our finances in terms of making sure we're doing things proper. All of our financial statements can be found online. Our audits, we've talked a lot about our audits and why are they outstanding. Some of that was within our control, reconciliation of bank accounts. Some of it wasn't in our control. When are the auditors available? We had an untimely death of a CFO. And so there are challenges. The good news is the 21 audit was recently completed. The 22 audit, we submitted it to the auditors. We're waiting for them to review it. But again, they have many other clients. And as soon as they complete that one, we have a stack of the 23 information ready to give them to work on that as well. Look, we take our responsibility as stewards of taxpayer dollars very, very seriously. And we know our success is based on the trust of the community, and we know that that audit is one piece of that trust. But there are a lot of other things in terms of our delivering on what we promise, that things that we say we're going to do, we ultimately do. And we think that the community does trust us, but we certainly understand, and it's a priority for us to complete those outstanding audits. I took more than a minute, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so you got my first 5, two 5s, so it's all right.
Okay.
So, Parks and Recreation, proud of me being in office has been my passion. Met on a number of things, so.
Still is your passion,
yeah,
hopefully.
Still is my passion,
Okay.
That's why I got a bunch of questions. So, when we talk about outdoor parks, we already have an example with Greenwood Estate of covering Breck Park, where it's covered basketball court, been there for years.
Which one?
Greenwood Estates off of Foster Road.
Okay.
Been there for a long time. It's hot as hell, whether it's covered or not. And so the fan system looks great, but I want to know what part of the country are they using those fans in? Because if it's not happening in Florida, Louisiana, Texas, or the southern parts of those states, then I want to make sure that we don't create what we think is the best practice that won't add value but just blow hot air on a basketball game. And I may be wrong, but I mean, if you can just tell me your experience with that. I saw the model, it looked great, but we've already had that, and it was still hot as hell.
Yeah, well, and I appreciate that, and I think that is a valid point in terms of where we live and the ability to have those sort of outdoor facilities. I'll first say don't use what you see now, what we developed 10, 20 years ago as a picture in your mind of what we're bringing. We're not just going to knock down the walls and do it. And so, but yeah, I mean, it's going to be a pilot program. Quite frankly, we will determine the success of that, and we will have lessons learned as we move forward. But it doesn't remove the reality of 56 recreation centers, more than half of them over 30 years old, more than half of them without air conditioning. And so the solution is not to retrofit these old. In fact, we did that. we have experience back from 2018 where we took 7 recreation centers, Antioch and Baker and many others, where we added air condition, and now we're on the news because those air conditioned systems are failing, and we spent well over $1 million for that air conditioning. And so,
let me get some more of my time.
Go ahead.
Because I gave you 5.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you need to be a council member long-winded as me. The other part of it, too, is talk about the renovations. I'm not mad that you put air inside. I mean, the kids nowadays, hate to say this, but you kind of have to conform to where they are to do recreation. Kids don't play outside anymore. If it's not air-conditioned, if it's not comfortable, they're not going to do it. So we need to somewhat provide resources and understand that, number one, probably the hot gyms ran them off, just like the hot sun did too. So, and I'm going to give you an example that I gave Corey. We talk about everybody else's watch and be very transparent. Maplewood Park had a ribbon cutting last year, has no air. So I would have never done a ribbon cutting in South Louisiana in 2023 without air conditioning. And so, we talked about maybe the additional $500,000 to $1 million. I would have waited to make sure that we had air in those facilities. And I encourage air in all other facilities too. You keep bringing up. Let me first of all say thank you for the work that you've done. Because no matter how much we improve city parish government, Breck, there's always going to be more that needs to be done, right? It's the no good deed goes unpunished, right? In anything that you do. So I know the good work that you're doing, the great work that you're doing, but I also know about the 70-second experiences. I know about some of those other challenging parks that are out there, and they're not just in North Baton Rouge. I've seen them in other places where they've kind of been left by the wayside. But if we always do what we always did, we always get what we always got. And if we know that we're currently underfunded, and not that I'm for overtaxation, but you put a slide up there that proved that the tax impact was greater than the investment, so the return was greater. So if you can go up to 18 mills and solve your problem, I know Dwight Hudson is cringing in the seat when I make that statement, but why would we keep going for the same millages, knowing that it's not going to be enough to serve the people and serve our facilities? I'd rather do it the right way and go for the gusto and take our time than do it the wrong way. I do like that you're thinking outside of the box with the fans. I hope it works. But I would love for you to go back and do an assessment of if I did everything 100% the right way, what would that cost us? And at that point, we'll know what it takes to truly run our park systems. Because we're talking about gaps. And I don't focus on problems, I focus on solutions. But we're still talking about the problem, which is lack of funding. So in a perfect world, what does it take to run that system? And then come back to the council and figure out if it's something that's amenable, and then determine what their return on investment would be. Because taxation is not bad if it's good taxation.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Adams.
Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Wilson. 65% of your budget on the line in November, that's pretty significant, right?
Yes.
Have y'all contracted with outside help to communicate the millage and share the information about the millage with the public? And if so, what kind of contract have you made? What kind of commitment have you made?
Yeah, no, we have, you can get a nice Parks Makes Life Better, and I'm a park person sign that's right out the door. We probably should have take one of these signs, put a note on there. And so we have information like that we develop. We're prohibited, right, from using public dollars to say vote yes or vote no, but the public information that we just shared with you, we do have breg.org/park perks that gives a lot of the factual information about, which millages are up, right. That's 65%, that our 10-year plan is relying on these sort of things. And so we've done some information like that. We haven't hired anyone, because again, we can't really spend dollars for someone to get out. No, we have a lot of community engagement, folks that we work with that knock on doors and that spread the word for us, but nothing sort of official or lobbyist or anything like that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Looking at the audits, so you're kind of backed up. I mean, and in the organizations I've been a part of, our audit was always scheduled. We were on the same kind of schedule year after year after year. So y'all did get pretty backed up on this.
Yes.
And so when do you think you're going to have 22? When are you expecting the 22 audit information to get back?
Again, we've submitted that information, and so we're waiting on the auditors to review it. I'm sure they'll have some questions. They've committed to us and to our commission, quite frankly, that will be finished by October. Now, we're hoping that we can finish sooner than that, but that's the commitment that they've given us on it.
And this is your independent audit firm. This is not the legislative auditor. This
Correct.
is the auditor that
This
you
is
hired.
Eisen Amper, formerly Postal Wait in Netterville.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. And then, so 23 is already to them too. And a lot of people, we're only getting 23 back at this point in 2024. So once that happens, you should be back on track, you think? Is there?
Once the 24 audit is due June June 30th of 25 next year. And so that's really the target that we're shooting for. Finish 23 and then make sure we finish 24 on time so that we are moving forward. But that's the completion of 4 audits in a 12-month period. And so we'll see how between the auditor's time, which again, we have no control over, that's going to be the big variable there.
Right. Yeah. But you're expecting to be back on track is what I hear you saying.
That is what the goal is, yes.
In the 24 year. Yeah, 25.
Yes.
In 25, you should get the audit on time for
Correct.
24.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I just caught this tonight, so let me make sure I'm understanding this correctly. The Imagine Your Parks millage is a 20-year millage, and we have a 10-year plan. Is that right? Is that what you said?
Yeah, so the Imagine Your Parks Act that we passed in 2004 was a 20-year millage, and it was based on a 2004 plan in an effort to not confuse the community, because there was an option for us to say let's make it 10 years, but then the big words new would have been everywhere on it because it would have been new. And so even though we would have been reducing it, we thought that would jeopardize the passing of it. And so we simply decided to keep it the same thing as it was before. It's not referred to as a renewal, although it's the same millage, same year, because this is based on the 2024 plan and not the 2004 plan. So that's why we couldn't call it a renewal. And so we have the 2014 tax, which is a 10-year tax, and then we have this 20-year tax. But yeah, our plan, and even though it's a 10-year plan, that plan includes strategic plans for every 3 years. So after the first 3 to 4 years of this plan, we will stop and take a look and say, hey, the things that we said 3 or 4 years ago, are they still relevant? Are those still the priorities of the community? And so it's an ongoing process, and I certainly understand the potential confusion of that. But yeah.
I do. So, and from your presentation, one of my takeaways is that you feel like maybe y'all are spread too thin, and you need to figure out what you can do really, really well, and only do those things that you can do really, really well. Is that a fair interpretation?
No, that's the exact interpretation. We need to, for lack of a better term, right size the agency. We need to be able to focus on high quality in all areas, but certainly those areas that need it the most. But in order to bring those new things on, as I mentioned, they don't come with a bag of maintenance dollars. And so we have to figure out how do we shift our maintenance dollars from what we're taking care of now to some of this new stuff, which means some of what we're taking care of now, we need to either find partners like Scotlandville the Alumni Association to potentially run those facilities and maintain them, or we need to look at doing something that doesn't require staff, that doesn't require HVAC and those sort of things.
So, okay, so one more question. The Brett Commission did just roll forward the millage, is that correct?
Correct.
And what is the total amount that's going to be collected from taxpayers from the roll forward millage? Do you know?
It was a difference of $5 million.
Okay. I just want to say, we're Councilman Hurst and I think maybe in different places on this, and I'm going to say this not just to you, but to all the entities that are looking at rolling forward. So this is for more than you don't take this personally, but the taxpayers of this parish are very hardworking families, and they are not an inexhaustible money tree. In talking with people who are working with, people who are struggling right now, I am being told that there are people who are literally putting their groceries on a credit card. They're financing their groceries. We know, I'm hearing from people that their auto insurance is doubling. I've heard of homeowners policies going up 80, 90, and 100%. And so I'm saying this to all organizations that are considering rolling forward at this time. The people in the houses, on the streets, they can't roll forward. They can't roll forward more money in their jobs. They are trying to make their ends meet, and they're trying to meet their budgets. And there are people in this community who are under significant stress. I understand that we have big plans and we have wonderful things we want to accomplish, and that all of this, I believe, comes from a good place. People want to do the best, right? We want, as organizations, as agencies, we want to give our people the best, but we also need to be very mindful of the financial stresses and struggles that the people in the homes, on the streets, in this community are experiencing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Gode.
Corey, thanks to you and your team. The Imagine Your Park 3 process was a very open, very transparent process. I know I was on your email list, got several invitations to come and provide input, surveys, all of those things. So I appreciate the efforts you all put into making sure public input was gathered on that. And thanks to your leadership team as well. They are always very responsive. In fact, Reed and I had an email exchange today over some inquiries I got. I think you got copied on that. So very appreciative that your team, again, is very responsive. Am I correct? My questions are probably more clarification than anything. Am I correct? BREC has a $90 million budget. Do I have the math right from the millages and the self-generated?
Yeah, I mean, if you add a little state revenue sharing and some different grants, we're close to $100 million.
Okay, all right.
Give or take $5 million, yeah.
With the roll forward, what did you say the additional would be?
Yep, so we went from 80 million in property taxes collected this year, and next year, as a result of roll forward, we will receive 85. And so the option was to stay the same, right, and then receive 80 million again next year, or to receive 85. And again, with some of the challenges you've heard tonight, Scotlandville Park, Cheneyville Park, deplorable parks, we are impacted by the same increases that all of us are impacted on. And so if we want to try and continue to address those things and maintain the high level of service, we need all the sources we can get to help with that.
The 10-year tax renewal, 6.2 mils, what does that translate to in dollars for y'all?
I need my calculator. Can somebody help me with that? 14.4 is 80, and so
Shoot, I don't even know how you do that.
divide 6 by 14.4 and multiply that by 80.
Okay, I can do that math later. What's the second one? 33 million?
33 million. So I guess the second one probably brings about 22 million.
22.
It's 3.2, yep.
Okay. Okay. So 55 total on the ballot. Does Imagine Your Parks 3 lay out what parks will be offloaded? What parks will be enhanced? Does it give it visibility on, hey, we're going to get rid of this property, close this place down, but we're really going to step up this place?
No, and I appreciate you asking that question because I failed I left out that important factor. And so the plan does recommend repurposing 10 to 15 of our recreation centers over the 10-year period. The plan then says that 2025 will be the year of community engagement to determine, hey, you got these 3 old recreation centers within a mile of each other. We think you deserve a brand new one, but that's going to require us to do something different to the other 2. Where would you like the brand new one? What are some ideas? And so that's going to be a community engagement process that I'm going to need every council member's support on that to be able to engage the community and have those discussions. And so we aren't in a situation where we're repurposing something where the community hasn't provided their input. So, for instance, we'll be in your district saying,
I knew you were going to say Gardier. I knew you were going to say
Gardier, or do you want it at Gardier Park or do you want it at Ben Burge Park? And we'll have those discussions.
Okay. Yeah. All right. How about park properties? Have y'all looked at a list of if we got rid of this open space, we're not maintaining all of those things, we could save X dollars, and therefore that goes towards maintenance? Y'all are doing that?
Yep. So that's the same concept as the recreation centers. I mean, even the previous plan, Imagine Your Parks 2, 2014, it came out with a list of obsolete land. And so today, we have a list of properties that the commission has voted on and said they're no longer needed for recreational use. We can sell them whenever we want to, and we've tried to do that. We're actually working with the Council on Homeless to sell a piece of property near Cartana. And so that we sold a piece of property that we bought for $90,000 40 years ago for $4 million. So we're working on that.
And so as an entity, thank you, that led me to my next question.
Councilman Godet, you want to take your time?
Well, of course. Yeah, please. So as an entity, y'all have the ability to sell real estate, realize the benefits of that sale, 90,000 purchase to 4 million sale. Yes?
Yes. Okay. The commission has to declare it no longer needed for recreational purposes, and we have criteria, redundant areas or areas that's not developed, and so we have a list of criterias.
Okay. So Brett, getting to a target number of parks is not necessarily in IYP3, but you'll start that process and vet the public to give input on that process?
Yeah, I mean, that goes for everything. That goes for grass cutting. Part of the plan says we need to cut less grass than what we're cutting right now. So we're going to have a conversation with the community that says, are you okay with letting this be a little more natural, and so that we can take care of this that the kids play on a little better than we're taking care of it now.
Okay.
So
good. Yeah. All right. Thank you for doing the presentation tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Councilman Moak?
Yeah, I want to follow up on the basically the vacant land. Now, I mean, I don't know what the policy was back then, but I felt like a lot of people a while back, a long time ago, maybe before you were here, hey, I'm going to donate this land to Breck and get a tax write-off. And Breck just took the land in, and everybody goes, okay, well, Breck owns it. We should have a park here. So about how many of those parcels of land do you think we have throughout the parish? How many?
If we have 175 parks, I would say, and Reed probably can answer that better than me. I would say there's maybe 10 that are not developed, that are just lots that somebody gave to us. I mean, we had one off of Highland Road, Lafitte Hills.
So it's not a huge bunch of pieces of vacant land sitting throughout the parish.
No.
And those pieces of vacant land, do you consider those, quote, parks or
I
just
think
inventory?
they do. I think they do come on our list as parks. Now, I'm positive, 99% sure they're listed as a park if Breck owns it and it's a, yeah.
So somebody could go out there and use it?
We cut the grass. I mean, people are welcome to go out there and use it, yep.
Okay. I just know that for a while there, and I know there were several parcels in Central. And it's like just vacant land, and, you just see these, somebody mentions, oh, that's a Breck piece of land. It's just sitting there and doing different swaps and everything. So hopefully y'all can offload a lot of that and save a lot of money. I'm glad to hear that is definitely something that y'all are looking at.
I will just add a little caveat on that. We did rely on land water conservation funds to buy a lot of these parcels. So if it was $6,000 and we got $1,000 from the Fed to help us buy that, then we cannot do anything with that piece of parcel until we go back to the feds and say, hey, we would like to sell this. And they're going to say, you need to replace that piece of property with another piece of property. So that makes it a challenge for a lot of our parks as well, too.
So you can't just offload a piece of property?
Those that don't have federal dollars to it, we can, but we do have, and again, Reed can tell me a better number on that, but I don't want to give a number on it, quite frankly, but we have a lot of parks that are tied to that.
Okay, so let's go into the fact, and I know y'all have done a lot of work at your parks for, especially since 2016, and helping with drainage and reconfiguring to maintain and sustain water and everything else. A lot of those empty lot parks, is there any thought of working with municipalities and using those for detention or something like that, where the local municipality, whether it be the city of Baton Rouge, Baker Central Zachary, the new St. George, use some of those for just straight, mainly detention, and maybe just put a walking trail around it. That way, I don't know if that would help qualify for any other federal dollars or state dollars to use it as retention.
Yes, we are open to that idea, and certainly had conversations with the city of Central on that. Now, we're not going to take an active park that we're not going to take Central Sports Park and dig a big,
no. I'm talking about the empty land park.
Yes,
where you
that
have
is
parcels
absolutely
of land that butt up to it and everything else.
That's a possibility, certainly, and especially if someone else is paying for it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And look, I wish. Well, I don't wish. There's no way I can sit here and say, okay, Breck just sucks. You're top heavy, you're all this kind of stuff. I think y'all have got a great system. I think over the last 10 years, y'all have made much larger investments. I remember going to parks, or let's take Jackson Park, for instance. It was a flat piece of land that we would show up there as a bitty football team. We'd mark out our own little areas, and they had a slide, and they had trees and a small pavilion. That was a park back then. Now we've got the Central Community Park, Jackson Community Park, and it's got water features, it's got multiple slides, it's got multiple areas, it's got different things, you still got the open field for everything else.
Councilman Moe, if you want to check your time?
Yes, please. Let's just go ahead and run them all. So I think you've done a fantastic job. Now, on top of that, I will just say, following in Councilwoman Adams' steps, it's kind of hard. You had an $80 million budget. Was the $5 million needed at this moment when we're trying to renew the things or so on and so forth? I I think with that roll forward and with the millage coming up and everything, definitely put a lot more out there about the value of what they're getting. Just something to tell you. I don't know if I should tout this or not. We have so many amazing things out in Central. We have the largest conservation area, 460 or 70 something acres, with a couple $1 million educational facility that's built off the ground for flooding and everything. And look, that was an area that people went back there anyway and hiked already. Breck took it over and said, okay, it's already being used. We have I think one of the largest sports park as far as baseball goes that are AstroTurf with 7 fields. I even checked on the Oak Villa Park, and I think the Oak Villa is only 4 fields. So we have a lot to be thankful for. Again, following on the footsteps of forwarding, that is an option that comes up every 4 years. And it definitely needs to be looked at totally on what's going on with the environment to the public and what they're going through and so on and so forth. That would be the only negative I would give right now. But other than that, I think y'all are doing a great job.
Thank you. We'll try not to just suck. That's going to be our new vision statement.
Right.
Just don't suck.
And I do want to give a shout out to the owner of Breck, Katrina. I know she helps you out a lot and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure to tell Katrina I said hello.
I will.
Councilman Dunn Jr.
Thank you, Corey. Thank you for the presentation. Very detailed, very in-depth. Very impressed with the economic impact numbers. I think oftentimes we're not aware of or sometimes overlook those indirect economic and human capital impacts. You even had the healthcare impact, the stormwater impact, things I think that we don't oftentimes consider. So glad to see that you and your team put that information together. Want to tip my hat to you personally for leading the organization, your staff, your leadership team, and your board. I think this is one of the things that we're doing right in this parish, one of the many things that we're doing right in this parish. I don't know it unless I checked out for a minute. Did you mention the numerous awards year in and year out that you guys have received from across the country in recognition of the work and the type of parks we have here?
Yeah, no, we did recognize that in 2022, for the third time in our 75-plus year history, we won the gold medal and was recognized as the best park system in the country. We've been runner-up for that probably 18 times over the last 75 years in terms of being one of the 4 finalists. And so we are recognized nationally for the work that we provide our community.
Thank you. I think members of the public brought up some very good points about some areas of need, which I think some of that you had highlighted in your presentation. So it kind of confirmed some of the things that you had said, that you got some areas of need to work on. Mm-hmm. What I would also say, I think as a community, we need to assess and take inventory of what we want the park system to look like, how we want to invest in it. How do we want it to look? Do we want to downsize? We just had an item with these fire stations with the Scotlandville Alumni Association where the city parish, prior to any of us getting here, looked at our properties and said, we got all these surplus properties, fire stations and other things, and we want to partner with organizations to get this responsibility of maintenance off of us, partner with somebody who can put it back into use, put it back into commerce. Mm-hmm. We've done that. School systems are doing that. Governments are doing that. Commercial entities are doing it to reduce the maintenance, reduce the overhead costs, looking at consolidations, looking at eliminating brick and mortar and minimize the overall operational costs. So you're doing what most organizations and companies are doing around the country. We just need to determine what that wants to look like. I know Councilman Hurst mentioned, maximizing the millage and doing everything you want to do. I understand your hesitation in that with having the language new or increase, and, that may, run some people off or get some people not to support it. So I understand your hesitation for maximizing the millage, but I just think these are realistic concerns we need to consider and look at when we're talking about the direct and the indirect benefit of Breck and the Parks and Rec system. We here in the state of Louisiana that's officially known as the sportsman's paradise.
Right.
Food, music, culture, and recreation are essential to who we are. Now, how we want to fund it, how we want to pay for it, I can tell you many parents, many residents are thankful for some of these summer programs that have lines, waiting lists to get on, and they're trying to block people outside of the parish from stealing those slots. You know, some of these parks and recreation facilities I utilize frequently, and I know many people utilize them frequently, and there's no, at the moment, out-of-pocket cost, but there is some tax costs, as Councilman White Adam mentioned, and I'm sensitive to, you know, some of the things she talked about that, you know, Joe Citizen can't roll forward. So, you know, when their budget is strapped, they cut costs. So we need to evaluate how we want to handle that situation. Do we want to invest more into the system, as Councilman Hurst said? Do we want to, you know, consolidate and eliminate as you're evaluating and doing right now? Those are some realistic concerns that we have and we need to discuss. I know you've done a lot of outreach, even in our District 6 Community Center outreach and needs analysis. You guys participated and gave feedback and was at every meeting talking about areas of needs and talking about collaboration and how we can, you know, pool resources to make the greatest impact. So I know you're doing that and looking at alternative ways to serve the people and do it at a lower operational cost. So I want to commend you for that. The other thing we need to look at...
Councilman, you want to take your time?
Please, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. We need to look at the rising cost, inflation. I mean, you know, we were talking about pre and post COVID, you know, material and supply chain issues. I know we anticipated some initial 1-2 year rising costs post COVID, but I don't know if anybody anticipated, you know, 4 years later that these costs would be still rising. In my business, our insurance costs went up 65% from last year to this year. So, you know, these are realistic rising costs that government, organizations, commercial entities are dealing with. So yesterday's maintenance cost is not today's just maintenance cost. So these are some things you got to look at. So again, I want to commend you for the work that you've done. You know, in my district, you know, we have Oak Villa, you know, is filled with residents and guests utilizing that park. And then we have some other ones, you know, like Blueberry and Tam that may not be as utilized. So just in my district, you know, I know we need to look at how we, you know, utilize the parks we have, look at some consolidation, look at some enhancements. And we've had some of those conversations. So I want to commend you for the work you're doing. Look forward to continue working with you and partnering. I want to echo Councilman Goday's sentiments about the response and the relationship that you and your team and your staff has had with our office and our offices. And again, appreciate the presentation.
Thank you, Councilman.
All right, moving on. Item 168, receiving a report from Safe BR. Thank you, Corey.
Thank you.
We're running short on time. By Councilwoman Laurie Adams and Councilwoman Jen Rocca. Do we have anyone wishing to speak on this item? My understanding is there's going to be a motion to defer this item until the October 23rd meeting, but does anyone wish to speak on this item?
God bless you, Mary.
Yes, ma'am.
Mary J. Markentale. I live in downtown Baton Rouge. When this item showed up on the agenda, it was quite a surprise. I did a public records request to try and get this document that was supposed to be presented here, both to the sheriff's office and to the city of Baton Rouge, only to be told y'all didn't have it. Well, I've got it, and it's very disappointing that I could not get it through an official public records request to the city of Baton Rouge.
We don't have it.
After reading this report, I understand why it's being hidden and understand why it's been withdrawn from today's agenda. It is one of the most one-sided documents in which it was to be a surprise in an attempt to force this down the throats of the citizens of Baton Rouge after it being paid for by some private citizens and supported by what I call the two shadow government agencies, the Baton Rouge Area Foundation and the Baton Rouge Chamber. Learned from this report was the fact that participants in the content of the report were, quote, voluntary and self-selecting, in other words, one-sided. Even the report states that some important views likely did not surface. And to keep this report double super secret,
They did not record the identities of the focus groups, nor the people they interviewed, nor recorded the interview. In other words, there's no way to determine the accuracy of any of this information. It's just certain selected people's one-sided positions that we can't even identify who and who they represent. And the most important element of this study is trying to convince the city's citizens of Baton Rouge that the sheriff's office should take over all the policing. Yet this group wants to ignore that the sheriff has publicly come out stating he is not in favor of this, and such a move would cause the loss of law enforcement personnel and loss of protection for our parish as a whole. Further, he will not support anything that is destined for failure. And if you think the sheriff's office is the answer, I can lay out some issues I've recently had with some poor policing by the sheriff's office. More importantly, if the sheriff really wanted to help the city of Baton Rouge, he would already be here. But he's yet affirmatively refused to participate in some active policing here recently. I think this was totally irresponsible for this thing to have been done and presented. I got calls from police officers who are now convinced they're going to lose their jobs. We are already having problems hiring people, and now we're going to have problems keeping people because of pure politics. 30 years ago, I moved into downtown Baton Rouge. I know what downtown Baton Rouge was. I'm glad y'all recognize what happened in downtown, and it was done by the Baton Rouge Police Department.
Thank you.
not the
Anyone else
sheriff's
wishing to speak
office.
on this item?
I'm sorry?
Is anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council.
I'd like to make a motion to defer to October 23rd.
All right, we have a motion. We have a second. Second by Councilwoman Rocca. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion is deferred. Councilwoman Amorosa. Thank you. Any announcements? I would say thank you for continuing to serve. Serve each other, serve your families, most of all serve God. God bless. Thank you.